Good evening and welcome to the 2025-26 budget meeting. At this time, Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Noah, absent. Councilwoman Covington. Here. Councilman Cassoff.
Here.
Councilman Franklin.
Here.
Councilman Palmer.
Here.
Councilman Williams.
Excuse, he had death in his family.
Mayor Jones.
Here, a quorum is present. At this time, we'll turn the meeting over to the city manager.
Mayor and Council, always a pleasure being in front of you. We are gonna present the 25-26 budget over the next couple of nights, or a couple meetings that we do have. And then hopefully bring it to you for an ordinance, I believe this year, correct, Octavia?
Yes.
An ordinance is the proper way to do it. And we'll be bringing that to you, so we'll have 2 readings in June. Hopefully we'll have that. And so we're ready to go July 1st. Nadrick Tankins is here. He is a finance director and this is his first time doing this, so we will be definitely helping him out as he goes through it. But Nadrick, I'd like to bring you up. Go ahead and start.
Thank you all. So if you don't mind, I will step over this way. The first thing I wanted to mention is that the visuals that we're seeing, they are PDF and not a PowerPoint. So we might have a little difficulty sliding through the slides here. But the first item that we're gonna go over are gonna be the general revenues and the fund balances for the city.
You're gonna have to tell me what page.
I don't know what page. Here, I'll grab it. Page 2.
Thanks for numbering the pages.
You're welcome. So page 2 shows the combined fund balances. I'm not going to go over this very much. Each fund we will talk about individually as we go through the budget. But this just gives you an overall view of all of the funds for the city of Ferguson, revenues and expenses. So if we can proceed to page 6, this is an overview of the general fund. Please ignore the letters on the right-hand side. They're just for coding within the budget software. As you can see here on page 6, the 2026 budget, the revenues come in at about $15.5 million, and the expenses are a little bit higher than that at $21.5 million. Are there any questions about this first overview page?
You mentioned revenues. This appears to be all expenditures.
Oh, did I say that wrong? I'm sorry. You're right. It's 15 and then 6. I'm sorry. It's all expenses on this page for the general fund by the type and the department. If we can proceed to page 8. This page is similar to the last page. It goes over the expenses, and then on the right-hand side, it has 2 columns there to give you an idea if the balances are going up or down, if it's positive or negative. And this one also details the Parks Fund, which we will be speaking about a little bit later separately. On page 8, this is
Before you go, I'm looking at the citywide expenses, which is a in a negative of 2 million?
Yes, ma'am. That was, the settlement,
Okay,
but. Yeah.
Thank you, Chief.
We'll get to that.
But this page here is derived from the B2s, and we will discuss those within each department.
So we're forecast to be 1.8 million over budget for this year. Is that correct?
Correct.
With that, one change that we do have to make is, in the budget, which we just saw. Last year, we did budget 3,100,000 in the citywide. So that will change the budget a little bit, which will change that 2 million, number. Dave, this is a little bit of an amount.
So the budget that you're seeing in front of you doesn't have the actual numbers that we budgeted for 25's litigation. We actually budgeted 3,700,000 something, because we knew that the fan case was coming in this year. It didn't reflect it here, that's why it's showing $2 million. And also remember, these are forecasted numbers, it's not audited or actuals at this point.
you fine.
They're just a best guess, so they will change.
So we're forecasted to have a $1.5 million deficit, and that's, we had not forecasted to spend $2 million on the settlement. So taking the $2 million settlement out of the picture, we're $500,000 in the black for forecast. Thank you.
Versus the.
But citywide is almost $500,000 beyond 2 million in the red. So what else happened citywide other than the $2 million settlement?
Are you seeing that number on this page here?
Page 8,
Numbers?
under general fund citywide expense, we had for 2025, we had 1,354,000 budgeted, 3,826,000 forecast. That's a $2.5 million difference, and we had a $2 million settlement.
That's what I would say, that number's inaccurate, the actual budget numbers.
317.
So we're only about 100,000 over in the citywide.
Okay, so are there any more questions about page 8? No questions? So if we proceed to page 10, this is going to be for the general fund, the revenues and expenses. So what you see here on page 10 for 26 budget is that we are bringing in $17.5 million in revenues. And we have a deficit with the expenses of $1.4 million here. If we go down to some of the line items that may explain some of that. If we want to talk about the increase of revenues, you can see that in 2024, the actual number was about 15 million. And for this budget, we're saying we're going to bring in about 17.5 million. And a lot of that difference, it comes from property taxes and the tax valuation. Our valuation is increasing. As well as liens that had been placed and had not been paid in past years. This fiscal year 25, we did receive a large amount of back taxes for liens and things that had been paid to the county.
Yeah, one
Go
other
ahead.
thing is pop use actually doing better than probably, but pop M is actually down.
What did he say?
Castle. You
Pop
had
M
to
is
hit.
down, pop U is up.
Have we had a discussion with anybody regarding the impact that you said one of the big impacts in property taxes was that we were collecting on liens. We've got lots of other liens out there. have we done any analysis or had any discussions with the county in regard to the impact that the land bank or law is going to have on our future ability to collect these liens?
Yeah, so we did have a conversation with, I had a conversation with, Pat Kelly, I believe is his name, right? In the whole program, it does stipulate that they will work with municipalities. And not all municipalities will be in this. So our goal is to work with Sam Page and the county to make sure that we are gonna be one of those municipalities that we can work with.
One of the municipalities that's excluded?
Yes, excluded. If, I think I even sent it to council, it's in their program. That says that they'll work with county and.
But that's at the discretion of county.
That is a discretion of county, and that's why we need to work with them. Now, if we see that we're not gonna be collecting these liens, then we have to figure out the next way to do it.
Do we know whether that is an executive decision or a county council decision?
The
On how we,
bills-
what we do,
Whether a city will be included in the land bank and therefore
Yeah.
precluded from collecting on their liens? Are the decisions city by city made by the executive or by the county council?
so I don't know 100% sure who makes that decision. I know the mayor's been talking to some of the mayors, and they may have a little bit more on that than I do. Mayor.
Bill 57 on the land bank. St. Louis County has over 4,000 houses. When they will implement the land bank, they're gonna pick and choose 100 houses out of the 4,000 that they're going to put in the land bank first. If one of your houses is chosen and it comes up for auction, you will get a percentage of your lien back. You may not get all of your money back. And the rest of the houses, they haven't figured out what they're gonna do with if they are not put in the land bank. And that's where the municipalities are having problems. Because usually they could go to the post third and sell them and try to do something with them, but that is uncertain with the new bill number 57. So we have a meeting on June the 17th with Sam Page and the Director of Revenue to tell us exactly how Bill 57 is going to affect all of the municipalities. Because the bill was proposed by Councilwoman Chair Retta Days and Councilwoman Shalonda Webb, but it wasn't a well thought out bill according to the mayors. And so that's why we're having a meeting with them. Because look like we will, if they don't select one of our houses, then we don't know what they're gonna do with it after that, because they're proposing the post third go totally away. And see, that's what we need to find out.
My other understanding was they were looking at high price land as well, such as some commercial. And I believe Jennings has a couple of those right now that
Mhm.
they could really, and that's more of their target, that's my understanding. So, but again, if we see that we're not gonna get our money, then we need to look at what's our next step, right? And how we can proceed to make sure that we're getting reimbursed all this money.
Yep.
Sure. Mr. Palmer?
I'll quickly touch on what you're discussing now. I did have a different question, but if we work hard as a council and as a community to address the housing blight and vacancy problem, we won't even have to worry about this land bank.
Thank you.
If people pay their taxes, if we produce neighborhoods and provide safe neighborhoods that have great looking housing, people will want to live there. Property will not become tax delinquent. Should it become tax delinquent, people will actually bid on it through open market process. You won't go post third. We need to build and foster environments where people want to live and stay and be a part of the community. If that's the case, we won't even have this same conversation in a year or two from now. Currently, there's no post third properties that Ferguson has that has not taken already from the county. So the only ones that can be added to it are new ones. So it's going to be less than a handful or two a year that don't get bid on at the auction. So if we work hard as a community to address blight and vacancy, we don't have to worry about Senate Bill 54, whatever that is. It won't be a problem for us because we won't have to worry about judicial foreclosure of extremely tax delinquent property. That's my stance on it. And that's how we really should be addressing it. We shouldn't be worried about how we're going to collect tax delinquent property in the future. We should be worried about how to stop having a huge tax delinquent inventory of property within our community. That's the real root cause of the problem. It's not the process to get the tax delinquent property. It's the property becoming 10 years tax delinquent.
Yeah.
That's what we need to address.
And is that being addressed with county? Is that how we're supposed to address that with county? Because we want to give them before that 9-10 year mark. Is that what you're suggesting?
If we
So can-
increase property values, eliminate blight in the worst parts of our
Right.
town where the majority of these post-third properties are, they won't even get to post-third. Because when they become 3 years tax delinquent, an investor or a bidder at the auction will bid on them. The reason they become post-third, I don't know if you all know what that means. It's post-third attempt to auction the property, which means it's 6 years delinquent on taxes. Nobody bid on it when it was $6,000. Nobody bid on it when it was $8,000. Nobody bid on it when it was $10,000. They're sure as hell not going to bid on it when it's $20,000 after 10 years delinquency. And we've been cutting the grass for the whole time because county they don't care about anything that's within the municipality's boundaries. So if we can continue to focus on eliminating these big problem properties, because it's not a coincidence that you see 3 of these in a row. You know, when you get over to Emerald and some part Dupree, there's 10 houses on that street that need tore down. Like, that's a problem. It starts to just get to a point where you're like Jennings that has 500 properties or something on, or Castle Point where half the properties are on post-third property. That's a problem that St. Louis County is not financially equipped to address. They say they are, but they're not. So my question on this sheet was, you said property taxes anticipated increase, but it appears to only be 1%. How are you anticipating a 15% increase in sales tax? What changed that we're forecasting such a large increase in sales tax revenues?
Part of
So for
that-
sales tax, I'm sorry.
Go
ahead, Chief.
No, go.
It was part of it was Prop U, as the chief just mentioned before, and Prop M that we do anticipate getting more money for the marijuana tax. They started late, paid late for that. As far as
So Prop U hasn't been collected in 2025, this current fiscal year?
It has, but not the whole thing.
Okay,
So that's why our forecast is low.
okay, because we're
They're
forecasting
slow-
$1.1
they're
million.
slow.
Yeah, we're looking at a $1.1 million increase in sales tax revenue.
That's correct.
Okay,
But we are collecting a marijuana tax at 3%.
we are, that it actually came in a lot less than what was forecast for last year. Right now, I believe this fiscal year, we've only got $140,000 for that tax. Which is, I want to say half of what the forecast was in the previous budget.
It also came late because they didn't start on time.
Correct.
So
You can go ahead.
yeah, if I can expand on that a little bit. If you remember, we had an issue where we could not start collecting because we did not have all the proper paperwork turned in, signatures. And so we had to wait till the next election cycle. And then that's when we were able to start collecting. So we are behind on the marijuana, and that's why we're down a little bit in that, or we're down more than we thought.
In addition to that, city manager, could you explain about the opioids? We finally got that.
Yes, ma'am. So we are in the opioid settlement. There's 4 or 5, I think there might be even 7. We're in all that we can be. Some of that will have to be spent though. Well, majority will have to be spent on opioid stuff. That is for fire department, police department, and we can even do Narcan vending machines. I think St. Louis County's also doing that and possibly providing that to us so we can have it at the firehouse. Obviously you don't pay anything for it. But it's some of the settlements come in at 10 grand, some come and you get it quarterly. So we just don't know how much because we have not started receiving any of that yet. But based on what the state has given, you're looking at 10 to 16,000 on each time they send us money on each one.
Okay,
Under transfers on this,
Mr. Franklin had a question.
She pointed at me. Sorry, go ahead.
That's all.
I'm sorry, my chair didn't swivel.
That's why sometimes you gotta speak up. Quick question. Under revenues, page 10, inspection fees. I see this year and next year, looks like we've had a $300,000 plus decrease. What is that attributed to?
Yeah, some of that is for Club Valley and PFG, Performance Food Group. With the inspections, that also takes part of the plan review and all the permitting that they need. So
So we're doing fewer inspections or like I'm just.
yeah.
What the
that's
chief
good.
is explaining is that there was a couple large projects that were completed in that year, which we got a lot of inspection fees for that we weren't able to
Okay. So it's
get
kind
this
of-
year.
it's
And we're
more of
not
an outlier
projecting for
year.
next year. Correct. And also, one other item, it's not material to that $300,000 or $400,000 amount, but the reduction in some of our fees that we charge as a city will affect that line item there. So if we had a fee that, for example, we were charging $10 and we're charging $5 now, obviously that's less revenue in a particular line item.
Okay, appreciate it.
Under transfers, we have transfers from park, sewer lateral, and EDST. I understand that park transfers are probably because we have park maintenance being done by public works people and parks is reimbursing us. What is the reason we are transferring $380,000 from sewer lateral to general fund?
The actual expense is paid by the general fund, and then it's reimbursed from the sewer lateral fund. So
So-
basically, when somebody's coming in, we pay the bill out of the actual general fund. Then that transfer is showing the money being pulled from the investment accounts of the sewer lateral account, going back into the general fund.
Okay, so 380,000 is what we spent on sewer repairs
That's
for that.
That's what we're forecasting.
Forecasting.
Correct.
Correct.
Oh,
And then
okay.
same thing for EDST, any projects such as demolitions, property acquisition, that kind of stuff that we.
Same
budgeted,
deal.
Same deal.
But
Is-
we're also taking administrative fees from EDST.
EDST is the only one we get administrative fee to cover, correct?
Mhm.
Right, and then you're 100% right with transfer parks, that number is 100% for the 1071 budget, which is the Parks Maintenance Fund. Basically, Parks Maintenance takes place in general, whatever they spend for the year at the end, that's total, and that's the transfer from the Parks Fund to cover the maintenance. Thank you.
And that would be true for all the funds, actually, that general is the only fund that actually pays bills. So if we pay a bill for parks or we pay a bill for anybody else, that fund owes the money back to general. Go ahead.
Yeah, back to the fees. I heard you say you guys decrease fees. I would just say the cost of doing business isn't going down, it's not getting cheaper. So you might wanna maintain fees, if not increase fees for certain services that you can justify based off of required labor of city staff. You got something on that?
Councilman Cassoff and myself actually doubled most permit fees in a bill this past year. On most of like all of our mechanical inspections, plumbing inspections, electrical inspections, a lot of those fees actually almost doubled. They went from, I think, well, in many instances, $40 or $50 to $75 or $80. Is that correct?
I don't know the exact number on that, but.
The only fee that actually went down was a dumpster permit on private property, which went from 50 to 0. And I think we collected less than 10 of those permits in the previous year. Is that correct?
For actual fees, yes.
What about the landlord fees? We were getting $50 per dwelling according to the election that was in 2009. And we reduced those fees, and I think we losing what, 88,000, 85,000?
Madam Mayor, I do not have that number for you, but I can research that and get a number.
How much?
It's between 70.
I didn't hear.
It's between 70 and 80.
Between 70 and 80,000, we losing on landlord's fees. Before that new bill was passed, did we have any landlords who were not paying their fees?
Oh, we wouldn't even know about them.
Not that I'm aware of. No, but that
There,
doesn't
there are
mean that the
definitely
answer is-
landlords out there that aren't paying their fees, but we don't know who they are because they don't register, right? And unless you go out and knock on every door and figure out whether the person living there is the owner or not, you don't know who's a rental and who isn't. There's no way to tell.
Well, if they were paying their fees in 23 and they're not paying their fee, they were paying their fees in 24. Don't you have the records from 23 where you can look and compare from 23, 24, and 25?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, right, I mean, there's probably a few like that, but most of the ones that are really probably making a dent is the ones that just don't register at all. And that's probably a lot.
So my
City
question
manager.
is, yeah. Back in the day, and I don't know how long ago, but when we did trash through permitting, was that a better way of tracking who had rental and who did not? Was that one of the ways that we did track it? Cause I don't really, because like you,
Generally, a renewal notice would come out from, at the time, Miss Ryan. And
Right.
So she would send a renewal notice out, and then when a new owner of a property came in to order inspections, there would be a kind of like a stopgap measure where they'd say, prove you have trash, prove you have a renter's license. So you'd step to the right to the finance window, register your property as a rental property, and then you come back to Public Works and schedule your occupancy inspection. That's how it generally had worked in the past. It shouldn't be terribly hard to compare rental license receipts from 23, 24, and 25. This is the first year that it's been implemented under the new process. I'd have a hard time believing it's down 70,000. I think the forecast was 20 or 30,000.
I'm
Because
not
I think
sure
we were
if
only
that
collecting
exact
70.
number.
is a lot of the apartments really, we took some hit to that.
Well, the apartments did pay $1,000 anyway. Their fee actually didn't change hardly at all. They were capped. They didn't pay 50 per apartment. It didn't matter. Once you hit 20 properties on a property, it's like Northwinds, who has 438 units, wasn't paying a $20,000 rental license fee. They're paying $1,000. It was capped at $1,000. So that apartment complex, for instance, under the new legislation, pays right around $1,000 anyway, because you pay 50 for the first property and then 2 for each 437. So 437 times 2 plus 50, whatever that is, 925.
Yeah, they went down by like 50 bucks.
$50 or something.
Is there any reason why you cannot do the research?
Any reason why I cannot do it?
Yeah,
No, ma'am, there's no
okay,
reason
I
why we
just wanted
can't
to
do it.
know if it was any reason why you can't do the research from 23, 24 to 25.
No, we definitely
Okay.
can look and see if there was 1,000 on the rolls and there's 500 now, why? Or vice versa, if there's.
So if I'm hearing correctly, the inspection fees are roll off dumpsters and this landlord fee, right? Those are the two that either decreased or were eliminated.
Well, no, it'd be
Inspection
a
fees
lot of different
decreased.
fees. All the fees for,
We actually increased inspection fees almost double.
Okay.
Very big, big, big.
all right, so everything that's in the inspection fees is trash, recutting, rental income, snow removal, salt, police dispatching, fuel sales, library charges, auxiliary fees. So there's lots in there. I didn't name all of them.
Hello.
So out of all of those categories, it's the rental income is down,
Trash.
and salt sales
Actually enforced.
and a couple other odds and ends there. Were there any more questions about that, the fees?
No, just want to see a progression, that's all.
What's that?
What you need?
Was there an extra binder? up there?
What are you looking for?
A binder.
I grabbed your binder. No,
Pick it up, yes.
I grabbed it. No, this was free, and this is your handout. These are all the changes that they had. Okay. So if there are no more questions, if we move on to the well, we did speak about the transfers, but some of the expenses there. Oh, I'm sorry, not expenses, the other income. I did want to point out that other income is being forecast and budgeted low because of grants. Right now, we don't know what grants we're gonna bring in or if, any big ticket grants are gonna happen. Previous fiscal year, we had a lot of grant money, in addition to ARPA, things like that. I'd be surprised if it didn't go up, if someone like Joseph didn't, look for a grant, or Chief Doyle. Chief Hampton too. So the expenses are gonna be explained by each department. So now we just have the combined statement. Actually, I'm sorry. Let me catch my thoughts here.
Yeah, so.
Yep, I did.
This time we're gonna go to parks.
Sir, yep. The next fund is parks. Bring Mr. Joseph Steestrom up here. Do you need this? I got this.
You say what? Yeah, but, the park. Doesn't pass many, the fund in general, and then also the other, is parks.
Yeah, let's listen 20. We're gonna start on page 11. That's the overview of the Parks Fund. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'll go over through the Parks budget if you have any questions throughout. I'll kind of hit some of the highlights. If you're looking at page 11, as you guys know, Parks is a separate fund. We collect our own sales taxes, and all the money that comes in for parks is just for parks. It doesn't affect the general fund. So it is an isolated fund. As mentioned before, don't look too much at the 2025 forecast. Again, that's an unaudited, just non-forecasted numbers. The big thing with this year is we do have two outstanding grants, really big ones, the West Florissant Community Park that's still being built, and the new playground opening at the community center. So we have still about $1 million in grants to collect back. So that's why the red is in the 2025 forecast right now. But those will look better once we get all the money kind of together for those. But looking at the 2026 budget, as you can see, honestly, between revenue expenditures, our capital fund transfers to general, and our debt service, we are still in the black at 200K down there at the bottom. So we are good and very self-sustained for parks. And actually that's for a parks department, in a city our size, that's actually really good that we're not using any general fund money. We're completely self-sustained. So any big overarching questions before we break down to each fund?
Because it was brought up when I asked about the playground equipment at Nesbitt Newton. So for sure, are we going to be able to revitalize Nesbitt Newton Park?
Mhm.
Okay, I just want.
I'm proposing it in this budget,
Okay.
so if you guys approve the budget, it is in there, and then we'll get to that at the very end. Yep. All right, if you guys want to jump all the way over to page 300 now, I know that's the 300. All right, and so this is gonna be our parks maintenance. Again, this does general fund, but parks will cover out the actual cost of everything that comes out of this fund. Honestly, we didn't adjust much for all. The only numbers I really did move up is our utilities. We have noticed electric, and water going up over the last couple of years. Electric is going back down though because of, we put in all new LED lights at the community center. We're working on some of those transitions over to LED, so that one's stabilizing, but water. And last year we did find that we had a small leak at the pool, that did show, extra water charges on last year's bill. So those numbers have been bumped up just to be safe, but we're always looking at ways to cut our utility costs. But other than that, not much has changed in, parks maintenance. Any questions on? Mayor.
Councilman Franklin and then Councilwoman Noah.
Do you have any improvements planned for, Dave, in the budget?
For Dade Park?
We just finished the.
Well, I mean, I guess anything
Uh,
additional, so one of the issues that neighbors complained about, like the playground is great, but there's no fencing and folks drive, or no barriers to keep cars from driving into the park, which tears up the grass way. So I'm just wondering if there's any thought to any potential barriers or fencing just to keep those cars off the park.
Yeah, for sure. We don't have anything capital-wise specific for Dade, but you will see in capital that is an ask is going to be some security measures, which does include ballards at the 3 entrances, so cars will stop driving into the park. So that's all in the capital later on. And so then as far as general maintenance goes, that is our grounds maintenance and forestry. Something new we're doing this year is working on natural barriers. We did some of this over at Hudson Park at the disc golf. We're trying to put in new trees and bushes, and we're actually at Jenny Wabash gonna do some landscaping rock, some big boulders that really gonna stop the cars and stuff and those kind of things. So I'm trying to find more natural ways to do some of those things instead of just throwing the capital to put fencing or put something like that. So I'm trying to find some more other ways.
Green options, I guess.
Yeah. But yes, that is all, nothing specific, but this is in that fund of, we can spend on that and, but that is a priority of mine is to get ballards up and some safety measures in those parks where we know they're getting into.
Mine is quick. Have we included Halpin Park in, the maintenance of Halpin Park?
Yes, yeah, all those, figures have been brought back in. And then the upkeep and mowing and all of that kind of stuff. Yes. Any other questions on parks maintenance? All right, if you want to flip to 320, page 320. This is 27.2. This is our general recreation fund. This. No, yes, this is out of parks completely. The one thing I'll mention for overall for the next 4 budgets, we don't see any major issues this year with it. We budgeted accordingly. But as you know, the minimum wage did go up to $13.75 this year. As of January 1 next year, it's going to go up to 15. And they're actually getting rid of the exemption status for government. So not that we wouldn't pay that anyway. So this year I still feel good. Starting next year I feel good, but by next year, especially you'll notice in the pool funds that we're paying front desk concession stands $15 an hour next year, which means I gotta pay lifeguards 16 or 17 to pay competitive. Then we're paying managers 19, 20, and that's basically getting into what our full-time staff makes. So wage compression is gonna hit us huge. And just so you guys know, one of the things we'll be looking at is not cutting services, but if we have to cut some pool hours to pay less staff time, where can we cut some staff time at the community center and some of those kind of things that will be next year's budget. I'll be more looking into that for you guys, but next year we feel 100% comfortable with it.
Councilman Palmer.
And I will note, as much as people think minimum wage increases are fantastic for everybody who makes minimum wage, it generally just raises the cost of goods. So along with considering cutting hours, I would also consider raising prices of a slushie or nachos or the entry fee into the pool. Those are direct costs that are related to, when you provide lifeguards or food to purchase at the place, those are directly those costs that are increased on your behalf for labor and all the, the work comp and all that directly is a cost to the city. So it's expected that everything else starts to cost more over time.
We're trying to do the least we can on the residents themselves. Park Board did approve us raising the pool rates, especially for non-residents. So non-residents last year were 13, this year they're 15. What we noticed was they're still paying it, they're still coming, and that's huge revenue for us, but it's not affecting resident rates. So we're going to look at that for the community center as well, possibly raising non-residents rate, but still trying to keep residents low as possible.
There was a time when our pool was residents only on the weekends. Is that still the case?
No, right now we went back to open, but at that time, they were only $1 or $2 more.
Sure.
Now we raised it this summer will be $15 an hour. So we notice is the people that are coming that want to come, they're gonna pay it. Whereas the teenagers or the ones who perhaps who just wanna mess around aren't gonna pay that $15. So we didn't have many issues at all with that last year.
When you look at the breakdown of the visitors to the pool, what percentage would you say are residents versus non-residents? Do you know those numbers?
Yeah, I presented it last year. I wanna say last summer it was about 72% residents, so 38% non. So majority still,
28, 72, 28.
yeah, math. Yeah, it was like 70, it was like 68 to 72% was residents, based on the event and open swim and all those kind of
Okay.
things, but.
Thank you.
Carry on.
All right, looking at page 320, 2072, this is our general administrative budget. Again, not much change. We did up some salary costs for, again, part-time staffing. And the only other things that were really I upped were our cultural program, which is our 4th of July, Juneteenth, winter, Halloween celebrations, all of those fun-free community festivals. Things are getting more expensive. Anticipating next year, 4th of July fireworks and stuff, that's gonna go up. But we'll look at that next year. And then the only other thing that was really raised was our reimbursable and our senior citizen program. But again, those are reimbursed. So for you guys that know, our senior bingos have been huge. We're getting 100+ seniors in event center doing bingos. Our senior trips are selling out. They're all booked up with waiting lists. So again, we might have to raise those rates, but things are costing more, but we're gonna start charging more. But again, most of that money, if we're put into it, we're getting it back. It's all reimbursable. So, any questions on general recreation?
The trips are phenomenal.
Yeah, we're looking at ways to do, the problem is when we get an outside bus that we pay for that. Our 2 trolleys are filling up though. So we're gonna look a lot with the cost recovery this next year and see how we can get the most bang for our buck, because they're wanting more trips and more, all the stuff, so.
Yeah. Councilman,
Is the fitness center equipment upgrade, is that out of capital or is that out of parks?
That'll be out of capital, or Parks capital.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna jump over to 350, page 350. This is the pool. Again, actually, we really didn't raise anything here except for salaries for part-time staff. Everything else is looking good. We've actually not had too many, knock on wood, repairs or pool issues. So far right now, it's looking great to open this Saturday, except for the 65-degree weather and rain this weekend. It is ready to go. Any other questions on the pool though?
Can you describe what extra help is?
That's our seasonal part-time line.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all lifeguards, managers, all that
Okay.
stuff. So again, that's the huge part of our budget, having to have the amount of lifeguards we have to have there. Especially the time of day too. I mean, we have a swim team there starting at 8 a.m. Into classes, into lessons, into noon swim, into adult swim, into after hours activities. So the pool is, 7 days a week, almost 16-hour days. So a lot of staff time all built in there. All right, if you want to jump to 365.
you have a question?
Well, I have some questions about the yellow pages in the previous section. Are we gonna go back to those or?
I wasn't going to touch on them unless you want to bring the B2s up, any individual line items.
Yeah. Well, question number one, on day camp,
What page are you on?
page 340. So do we make or lose money on day camp?
We try to make it break even, with staff costs though. We do lose a little bit. I mean, not lose overall, it's still cut. We're still in the black budget. But mainly because of all the field trips we take on, we bus them over twice a week to Splash at Wabash, those kind of stuff. But we did raise the fees this year, and then next year with the minimum wage going to $15 an hour, we're gonna have to significantly raise the fees. A lot of camps did a lot more this year. But as you guys, if you don't know, we did sell out in 4 minutes. We have a max cap of 180 this year. I want to find ways to take more kids if I can. But yes, the goal is to always try to.
Well, and that's the reason I'm asking actually is we did sell out very quickly. We apparently give priority to people who attended in a previous year. And that's bumping off residents, and the residents are saying my tax money is helping to pay for these camps, and it's not fair that people from outside the city can register before I have the chance to, and I'm the one who has to help pay for it, so.
We try to look at camp as more of a net negative. That's why there's not a resident rate or anything like that. And what we did notice is a lot of the people, even made not residents, it's people who work at Ferguson or coming through Ferguson is a better situation. But yeah, the goal is not to use technically tax dollars to cover it. It should. And again, with 180 kids paying $85 a week, it is about $180,000 revenue source. So it's $95 a week this year. Yes, we are.
Councilman,
Wait, your revenue was 180,000, because your expenses in here say your expenses were 120,000. So if your revenue was 180, you made a bunch of money.
That's not getting staff hours.
Oh, that doesn't
That's
include-
just supplies, field trips, and that's what I said. But staff hours, they're also doing other stuff for us. There's our part-time staff, so there's some costs are hard to incur. But yes, no, the goal is not to that should be self-sufficient.
Franklin, Councilman
So if I
Franklin.
heard you, the fee is 85 this year,
95, sorry, it was 85 last year,
95?
95 a week this year.
But my wife signed my kids up, so I didn't know. It wasn't.
Yeah, we are still the cheapest around.
Yeah, that's why it sells out so quickly, because the word is out that Ferguson has one of the cheapest summer camps in the region, so everybody's trying to get, their kids.
Councilman Palmer.
Yeah, generally, like, same with the Easter brunch. Generally speaking, when something is sells out in a matter of minutes, it's generally underpriced. That's usually kind of, I'm not saying you need to jack the prices all the way up, but at the same time, that's a function of supply and demand. I'd imagine a lot of other places are a couple $100 a week, I'm sure, for other childcare options. I am curious on the pool. Forgive me, I did just get this binder today. So what's the revenue for the pool? Do you know?
I can tell you last summer, it was probably between 80 and 100K. We take in swim team registrations. I'm not taking out costs for anything like that. Just indoors, it was about 60,000, just admissions and stuff like that. But we also do summer camps, some others like trips and stuff come.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's not self-sufficient.
And are you anticipating using the events, the space that used to be the former offices, that can be used for some sort of rental or lease now, or what's the plan for that?
Yeah, that's something the goal. We're turning that into basically a multi-use space just because we can need more space. We're gonna start looking at some revenue generation programs in the fall for sure. If we can get some extra fitness classes over there when we're full at the community center. Some of the stuff we talked about is also birthday party packages for the pool. Then they have an air conditioned room to go into. They're gonna pay more than that than what they pay right now to be on the deck during a birthday party, stuff like that. But yeah, the goal will be to start doing some revenue generation.
Okay.
And Positive Play is still there, though. They're still operating at the same hours. We're just turning into a multi-use space so we can come in there, possibly doing some after-school programs or stuff like that in the fall as well.
And also with a lot of the issues we're having with dangerous, specifically dogs. I know we used to have like a very well regionally known dog courses. We had dog obedience classes like beginner, advanced, intermediate. And they did it at the little canine college, used formerly in the old Wabash building, but then they moved it down to where the restrooms are. Has there ever been consideration of trying to bring something like that back? I know they were very well attended, years, probably before Dave was even here.
Before Joe was the main reason those went away was insurance liability. So because it was a contracted service, the instructor had to carry the insurance to be covered, and she found it was too pricey to carry the insurance needed to offer a Catholic class. And so we were able to find instructors willing to pay to be insured to teach the class.
Okay.
Any other questions?
We're gonna jump quickly to 365. This is just concessions. This is just our concessions at the pool right now. They usually do pretty good. Again, it's mainly staff hours. We are looking at try to cut those back a little bit, do more with less, that type of stuff, but that's just our concessions. And then 374. Page 374, that is the community center. It is its own separate little budget, just to keep track of things. And honestly, as you can see, I didn't up anything in supplies and services. We just upped our personnel a little bit, again, because of staff time. And that again is one we're gonna be evaluating whether we, as you know, we did cut hours a bit. From 9 o'clock, we started closing at 8 a couple of years ago. If we need to start cutting back a little bit more hours just to stay on staff time, we're gonna evaluate that, but definitely make sure it's not affecting our patrons or anything. Any questions on community center, any of those? All right, and you want me to parks capital too, right? Capital all together? Okay. Well, then that is all I have.
I did have a question. I think Councilman Gassop might be bringing this up at some point, but regarding telephone service. I mean, he has some, it's kind of he kind of has some expertise knowledge there, but it just seems crazy to think that's $28,000 for a phone line for the community center.
Oh, well, it says telephone. This is actually internet, it's our TVs at the fitness center, our
Right.
1 gig internet that we use at.
So it's like voice and data and.
Yeah. The line's called telephone, but right now, because it's all through charter. So it's called, yeah, but most of that is our gig internet that we now have over there and all of our connecting to the server over here, those type of thing. The phone is not as.
One of the big pushes we've made over the past year and a half was to get rid of all landlines. We used to have landlines for alarm systems, everything else, and the price of those was just stupid. So Joseph actually made the move in the past year to go to cell packs on all those. I think we may have one landline left in the Parks Department currently, but we used to have, I want to say 8 to 12 one time. So that's been a big push we've made recently.
And our cell packs are $20 a month instead of $100 for a phone line. So there's savings so much.
Any other questions? Okay. Councilwoman Nord and Councilwoman Covington.
Then the housekeeping contract that the city uses to clean all of the buildings, it's the same.
It's completely separate. On my house, the housekeeping for parks is supplies and services for the community center, toilet paper, things like that. It's also our rugs are getting cleaned, all that, but that's not any personnel costs because we do have a full-time custodian for parks. So that's not including salary line, but yeah, so it's completely separate than the city, yes.
Ms. Sharvey? Okay.
Go on to page 337, and you got volleyball there for the outside, outdoor courts and volleyball supplies. Is this behind the community center?
Yes.
So, talking about advertising to use that space?
We're definitely out for it. We usually keep that one in. We've tried since COVID. Before COVID, we had a great indoor volleyball program. We used to have a couple rentals on Sundays for the outside one. Since COVID, every time we've tried to get a league started, it hasn't gone. We got one team to sign up the last time we tried it, but it's something we always try. Sports in general, we don't really have anything that's running except for our pickleball players. So it's something, again, we put a little budget aside for that. If we can get a league going, you guys know teams, areas that want to do something, we would love to do it, build that back up. Right now, we did start a youth basketball league or basketball clinics. And those are going great at the community center, those indoor clinics. So yeah, it's something we'd always love to expand on. But if the demand's not there, it's not there. So, but I'd love to see those courts get used more and more leagues going.
And is it 2 or 3 back there?
There's 3.
It's 3 back.
Yep.
Okay. Is it a concession stand back there? Or?
No, there's not. But we sell concessions inside out of the community center. So.
Let me ask you something, Joseph. Councilman Cassow brought it up, that we have 180 campers and it sells out in 4 minutes. And traditionally, the residents are saying they're not having an opportunity to get in. Have you all thought about opening it up the day before registration for residents? And then the second day is for anyone else?
Yeah, we're looking at all the options. We were starting to do the people who, if you were in there the previous year, could register first. And then that became about 95% of the registrations. And then, like I said, we get a lot of, not necessarily, if they're not residents or people at work, that their child goes to school here, but they may not live in here, that kind of stuff. But we're always looking at ways to take more and figure out a solution. I'd like to still work with either the school district or find more space. The biggest thing is spacing, but then you get into liability issues and then
Mhm.
of course staffing, and it just always adds more. So we know the demand is there. So it's what can we do to meet that? I think every kid should be in a summer program if they're able to. So I would love to expand however that means. So it's something we're going to keep working on. But the big thing too, we didn't want to expand too fast and take on too much than we could handle, because obviously the safety of the kids and that kind of stuff. So that's why we're still focused on just that building right now, but it's bursting at the seams with kids. So I would love to find ways to work with a partner on expanding that for sure. We take every kid.
Okay, Councilman Franklin?
What's the capacity for the summer camp? Like how many kids do you guys take on?
I mean, there's not a magic number. For us, it's physical space and then how many counselors we think we can get. We try, I mean, state ratio is 1 to 16. I always have tried to keep a 1 to 10. Most of the time we're about a 1 to 8 ratio, 1 adult per 8 kids, because safety is the most important thing. So but we've been so lucky on finding staff. I mean, Caitlin has done a phenomenal job keeping staff year after year. They tell their friends, and we have to turn counselors away. So we could get more, but obviously physical space too, with just the community center alone, but we also have silver sneakers classes, pickleball classes, aging ahead in there. We have so much else going on.
And are you currently like tracking how many of the kids live in Ferguson? Because I mean, I'm sure there's quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I can get those specific numbers. Like I said, when we discussed it with Park Board 2-3 years ago, when we started to make this change and saw the demand. And one of the big things that did come out though was like parents who send their kids to UTC but may not live here, people that work in Ferguson, and then we didn't have to make exceptions, and that's why we don't do resident, non-resident rate, and we try to keep it as a self-contained, kind of like bingos. It's a self-contained product and it's recreational, not childcare or anything like that.
Well, it's definitely an awesome program. Yeah.
Your max this year, 100.
Yes.
180 kids. So.
Uh-huh.
Yes. We're doing a little bit more with space and stuff, so yeah, trying to squeeze them in, but yeah, I don't want to. And then we're also building the brand new playground back there for them to play with, so should be awesome, but.
Bless you. 180. Any other question for Joseph? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to bring, excuse me, bring up Chief Doyle, with, it would be Department 40. Chief?
You look,
Page 228 on your book. 228.
Mayor's members of the council, good evening.
good evening, Chief.
Here to present to you the police budget for fiscal year 25-26. However, before doing so, I do want to make note that when I created this budget, I thought about fiscal responsibility, but also balancing that with protecting the lives and properties of the citizens out here in Ferguson. That being said, I'll direct your attention to page 228. And what I like to do on this page is kind of highlight some of the areas that we have seen significant increases or decreases. And after that, then I'll open it up for questions for you all. But I would like to start with the wearing apparel line, the first one there. We did see a 29% increase in wearing apparel, but as you know, that we significantly increased staffing over the past couple of years. So obviously, you know, more officers, you're going to have to buy more wearing apparel. Also, we've seen a 67% increase in training and education. Again, that speaks to the volume of the officers that we're bringing in, the subject matter experts that we're bringing in to teach our subjects such as Fourth Amendment rights, First Amendment protections, and so on. A place that you see actually a significant decrease is 68% decreases in license services and fees. And they had everything to do with us switching from going over to county dispatching. Prior to that, we would have had to move over to Premier One CAD, which would have cost us enormous amount of money to purchase this CAD system for the city. But going over to county, we was able to do that without having to purchase that system. And we no longer have the OmniGo system, which was our report writing system that we had here in Ferguson. Now we use St. Louis County Care System for that. We go down to systems and communications, that's 02089. We seen a 22% increase in that. However, when we switch over to dispatching, we also had to move over to reaches. And I don't know if, I think I explained this before, but the Ferguson Police Department only had Muse Police Services, meaning that we had one system that we can run people through, but we didn't get all the wants stuff that was in the Regis system, which most police departments and municipalities do. And it's one of the things I found was embarrassing for me when I came here is that oftentimes, or not often, but on occasions, our officers will have to call a county car to meet car to car with them to have them run somebody through Regis, which is just not what's needed here, obviously, in our city. So we, make a long story short, we have to have both systems, and the other fees come from the air cards that we have to have in the police vehicles to keep the, the computers up and going and connecting through the internet or wireless means. As it relates to professional services, you see a 18% increase in that. And again, that's for our CALEA support, CALEA membership, and CALEA on-site visit, which we will have later on this year. I estimate by the end of this year that our police department should be CALEA certified, which we will get our national accreditation for having, solid policies and
Thank you.
procedures. Yeah. However, we won't know that until the end of the year, once the inspectors come in and inspect everything, but we have to pay for that on-site visit. Yes, sir.
What are the benefits of being CALEA certified?
The benefits is that you nationally recognize, so essentially, in layman's terms, we can, basically all the police departments have similar policies. I mean, it may differ because of sizes, but we all have similar policies that's been vetted through, so we know that it's solid. So it helps us in regards to liability, litigation somewhere down the line, things of that nature. If that makes sense.
And if Better Together goes into effect, no police department that is CALEA certified will be dissolved.
Right.
Under your training and education budget, total budget's 117,000.
Mhm.
85,000 of that is consent decree training.
Mhm.
With the possibility that I've seen in news reports of consent decrees possibly changing. There was a story in the Washington Post. It wasn't about Ferguson today. It was about a couple of other bigger cities that they're pulling back on. If that were to happen to trickle down to Ferguson, is that $85,000 going to go away?
The whole 85,000 wouldn't, but a
I
significant.
mean, you might be training on other
Yeah,
things.
exactly.
Other
Yeah.
than consent decree.
Yeah, a lot of those fees are going to a subject matter experts to satisfy some of the portions of the consent decree. Let's see, as far as equipage, you see that we had a 43% decrease, approximately about a 44% decrease in that. And that had everything to do with the live scan system that we have. Live scan is when we bring someone in, and it's like electronic fingerprinting system. We would have to pay for that. However, we was able to find a grant to pay for that. So that's why you see the decrease in that. And the last thing you see is a huge increase in the bikes. One of the things we want to do is implement this summer is bike patrols in our neighborhood. And one of the things you want to do is use the e-bikes, the electronic bikes, as part of that. And with equipment, helmets, training, and the things that they have to go through, that's where you see the increase with that. Yes, sir.
Question about conferences.
Yes.
So are you guys staggering? Because it looks like every other year almost you're putting money into going to that, and then like this year it's 1,200 and it jumps to 28,000. So what are those?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I understand the question.
So your budgeted expenses for conferences
Okay.
in 26 is 28,700. This year is just 1,200. So I'm just curious that that's a big difference.
Yeah, that's.
Are you guys staggering
I
how
don't
you
think that's-
send people to conferences or?
You're not quite reading.
Okay.
So it'll be $1,200 in the forecast expenditure.
Okay.
We budgeted 26,000.
Oh, okay. I got you. That's on me. I got you.
So they didn't go to some
They
conferences.
didn't go.
Right.
Yeah,
they
you
only
gotta
work
remember last
1200
year,
work.
scheduled to go to the Noble Conference. There was a couple other conferences, but due to things that have happened in the city in regards to like Travis Brown, stuff like that, I forego some of those conferences to stay here in the city.
Gotcha.
Feel free to stay back this year too.
Any other question for Chief Doyle? All right, keep rolling.
Good, thank you.
Okay, Councilman Palmer has questions.
Not,
for you.
Sure.
not for the chief, just I was gonna mention in general to the council, just to bring Councilman Franklin and Councilwoman Covington up to date. Last year, there was a bit of a lot of discussions around all department conference travel, conferences, memberships and all that. And I believe a lot of it kind of fell apart towards the ends of the budget meetings. Cause they were kind of, people were trying to, councilors were trying to piecemeal who got to go to what, but I would always encourage with a city that generally in the past had such low staffing levels. I don't know if unnecessary or unrequired field trips are the best things we should be doing for all department heads, not necessarily just the police or the fire or whoever, but we would ask a lot of the department heads, is this necessary for any kind of credentials or licensure or anything? And if it's absolutely not necessary and you think your best time is best spent here, feel free to stay because like I said, sometimes I feel like a lot of conferences I've been to are sales pitches. You know, the vendor exhibit is where everybody goes and it's everybody trying to sell you flock cameras and, you know, and shot spotter and all drones and all kinds of stuff. So it turns into a big capital sell for your capital budget. So like I said, if it's something that you think is absolutely necessary, great. But if not, feel free to hold back. It's good. We got some police cars to pay for, it sounds like, so.
We do.
You Drew?
Okay, unless you guys have any questions.
Okay,
All right.
thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to bring Roger Tankins up and he will talk about finance department.
Okay.
I am back. We are on page 163. Finance Department. One of the things that has not been mentioned so far, all the salary line items across all the funds, all the different departments do represent a 3% increase in salaries. That's in those numbers. I believe. All right, and if we look at the personnel cost for finance, you see that the salary line items did increase. Some of these numbers here for Social Security, for example, it went down. And pension contribution went down. This is a result of tightening the calculation, basically using actual numbers for actual salaries and using the rates provided by the carrier or for Social Security, the Social Security rate. So that's why these numbers are down, but I would say that they are as accurate as I can make them at this point. So if we go down to the big line item that I did want to bring your attention to is going to be, there's two of them, the auditing line item and the professional services line item. So as you all are aware, we have done a lot of accounting work and used consultants. We've done 2 audits this year. I'm about to start another audit in a month. That's why these costs are increased. They're more than we budgeted for by a lot. And so that's what those costs are for. They're for the consultants that we use to help with the bookkeeping and consultants we use to help with the compliance and the audit firm that we're using currently. So that's why those numbers are increased in the forecast. But obviously for the 2026 budget, the goal is to bring most of those functions back in-house with the finance department and the staff within the department. So I am proposing in the new budget that those numbers level off way lower than we've paid for this fiscal year. and even less than, what we budgeted in 25 for auditing and for professional service. I got that audit number, the 68,000. That's what the cost was for the last audit that they did. So I'm gonna say that it should be close to that for next year. So if you all have any questions, go ahead. Madam Mayor?
Well, who's first? Who
Madam
first?
Mayor?
Mika,
Okay, this is a small one, but I see, postage, you forecast for 2,000, budget for 3,000, but you budget for 2026, 5,000. What are we billing?
Well, the finance department, we mail out several rounds of letters for like business licenses, things like that. We send mailing out for 1099s because the Ferguson post office has some issues sometimes that those costs can be increased. For example, I think I did certified mail. It was $120 in one pop. You know, that doesn't seem like a lot, but if you've got hundreds of items to mail repetitively throughout a season, it adds up very quickly.
okay,
Right.
Councilwoman Noah.
Just that postage goes up every year, but I just got this when I walked in the Bible, so I don't know that it too. But for the auditing, I know you used to talk to Schmerzel.
That's correct. That's who's doing our current audit. So CLA, they used to do the audit, but they were brought in-house as consultants since they knew the most about the bookkeeping for the city of Ferguson. So a lot of professional services go to them, as well as other consultants, other professionals, accountants, people that do compliance for us. We have a consultant, for example, that deals with the debt service rate and all of our compliances for that. So that's where those costs come from.
Councilman Cassoff, then Palmer.
For business licenses and landlord licenses, I briefly worked for the post office. People definitely have issues. But we have email addresses for all those people. Is there a reason we can't email those? I mean, I get landlord licenses. Y'all send me a big stack of paper every year that I throw straight in the trash. And then I come down and pay my fee. You
That
could
does-
send an email, a month or 2 months or whatever in advance, save a lot of printing costs, save a lot of postage, and the same with business licenses.
We'll try to make sure that we can do that actually, without being against any rules or anything that's set up. And I know with the, business license, this year, we are also comparing this because the fire department also does every building, every door, inspection, so we're taking that list, bring it to City Hall to make sure that all businesses are paying taxes as well. So
Okay.
we're also doing a little process.
Ms. Palmer, didn't you?
Yes.
Councilman Palmer.
I have a question on, for this fiscal year, for 02299 miscellaneous. Can you describe the $54,000 deviation from the budget?
I would have to look up that in detail, but give me 1 second to see if it's listed here. I don't know what those line items are right now, but I can definitely get that answer for you.
Okay. My next question is maybe more so for yourself, but also Mr. Musgrave and Hampton. When we have items like auditing that go 400% over budget, shouldn't there be a budget amendment that comes to council?
So we did, it was CLA, so it wasn't just an audit. It was us, we sent an outside firm to get all caught up.
But shouldn't that go out for bid? A number of that size?
But
Okay.
every CLA, this is probably, this is also two audits, correct?
Correct.
This is also
From
supplies.
my perspective, Smercial has one more audit, and it's this one that they're gonna do this year. And then we need to look at perhaps doing an RFP or doing something to see if there's anybody else out there, or potentially going back to CLA or whatever. But
It's just if we're spending, my personal opinion is if we're going $300,000 over budget, there might be more than just a brief resolution. You know, maybe we do go out for bid in the future when we're spending $300,000 with somebody on
But-
something.
We will go out for bid. When we went out for bid for a CLA, it was for bid. Well, when we do, because remember we.
But for the audit, not.
We didn't do it for like 15 years or something like that.
But a lot of this 383,000 is an hourly charge to clean our books up.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
right, that is a lot of it. And it's also, they're talking to each other. So the auditors, they gotta do accounting speak to make the books match the audit and vice versa. So that is, you know, the cost of doing business.
Right.
And to answer your other question, this $54,000 here, I did adjust that today. The auditors made another adjustment since this book was printed, so it's actually $500.
Did y'all hear him?
Correct. The miscellaneous expense, it went away because I looked into it this morning and I made a note that it was adjusted to $500.
Okay, Councilman Franklin,
So I was just gonna provide some clarity on what Councilman Kassoff asked about email notification. The city would have to require those individuals or give them the option to opt into paperless notification. Outside of that, you've got to continue to mail that document to a physical address. So if you guys want to do that.
You can look at all avenues of contact. In my experience, certain demographics don't respond well to electronic communication. That's just what it is. And if you've been in business for 50 years and you always got this thing in the mail, that's what you expect. You expect the thing in the mail. So an email, it's possible. We will definitely look at trying to do that. But I do think that we're probably still gonna have to send some mailings
Yeah,
out
most
because some
government
people are.
entities still use, physical.
Correct.
Mailers for official documents, so.
when you started emailing people, they gonna swear they thought it was a scam.
Right. And that will open up the city for a potential liability of a scam because, if we can't send something to mail because they know we're mailing checks, as soon as we start putting our financial info and emails to the business, somebody could potentially pick that up as well. That's not to say that we shouldn't try or there aren't ways to get around that because we do have secure emailing options.
There's nothing in my landlord license packet you send me that would in any way be, it's my name and the addresses of properties, which are all public record already.
Right.
Okay,
Mayor?
any,
Question.
Okay, one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
On page 176. We got a monthly purchase for 1440. What exactly, monthly purchase of per month 120, what is that?
I'm gonna say that's the scanner. I was gonna say it was probably paper.
is it paper?
Gotta be paper. That's
Has
what
to be paper.
You said it's not paper?
Is it paper?
I think it's paper, yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Cause we buy paper by the truckload for
Right.
different departments.
Right.
Okay,
But I will make a note to spell out what that actually is.
Councilman Palmer.
Yeah, also for counseling for the department heads, Mr. Tankins, and as well as administrative staff. Whenever it comes to items that we look at, such as postage and things like that, it's also good to kind of wrap your head around what's being mailed and then start to evaluate what that revenue stream is that's paying. Like, we have a revenue collector. It'd be good to look at what they're collecting, because then if you actually did the math at some point, you might realize paying the revenue collector more than the revenue we're collecting. There comes a point where it's like, is it worth collecting this revenue to pay this person we're losing money on. You know, like, if you have a whole administrative staff built around collecting something that loses money, it doesn't really
Right.
make too much sense from my personal. You either need to look at raising the revenue, the cost, the fee, or you need to look at getting rid of it, or figuring out how to get more efficient with the implementation of that collection. You know, like dog tags.
I
You charge
agree.
like $3 for a dog. I
I'll
mean,
just say that
One thing else, this was a suggestion by Councilman Passoff, is when he was working for the post office with all the certified mailings, half of them weren't even being signed and turned back in, right? So we didn't even get the return. So we stopped doing a lot of those, and we went through the lawyer to make sure that we could do it correctly. And we saved money.
I bet we spent over $150,000 on certified mail this current fiscal year. I mean, there was certified mail, it was crazy. Those are $7 or $8 a piece. If it's not legally required to send it certified, then don't. You know.
I agree with you on that. I will just say that we have had some issues legally with the mail. We've had checks stolen. I'm fighting with Visa over $18,000. Marlene's been fighting for 2 years to get our money back. The IRS.
Well, the city absolutely could implement a policy of not mailing checks and doing ACH. There's nothing that stops you from doing that.
And we're transitioning to that. However, we can ask and try to require that, but a company can tell us no.
And we can tell them we're not paying them.
Well, I'll give you an example. Slate, St. Louis Area Trust. They provide our insurance. We can't do ACH with them.
Okay, send them a certified letter. Send them
Right.
Are you
So-
overnight? You're probably overnighting that check.
Yeah, like we have a designated person. One of us three, we travel outside of the city to either do registered or drop it in a safe location to mail these items out.
But for instance, Tubbs and Son, there's no reason we can't tell them in the contract, you are not getting this contract unless you agree to accept ACH as a payment.
Agreed. And Chief Hampton has already brought that to us, and I've already
That's one thing
had
we
a moment.
too, after there was a couple of mistakes, not in our department, but by things that we found out we were not getting, or people were not getting. We implemented that all that we can make ACH are gonna be ACH. Even in St. Louis County now, I believe pays us ACH, am I correct? Because.
Oh, yeah. We do have we're transitioning, let's say that. And so just this morning, I actually mailed letters to St. Louis County because I say 3/4 of the checks in air quotes come ACH. A few come in the mail. And so I want that to stop. I want it to be ACH. So we are in the process of doing that. And as I just mentioned, the chief has communicated that to me, and I've communicated it to Miss Marlene back here, who does all the payables. And so what she does after each pay run is she looks at the list of checks and then says, let's get these guys signed up for ACH. And we know about Slate because that was a few weeks ago when they finally said, no, we actually can't do that. You know, because I asked, like, hey, why are we sitting
99% of them,
$70,000?
99% of them should be able to not get a paper check, I would imagine.
Agreed.
And the ones that you do, throw it in an overnight, it has to get signed for. That person, you put signature required and it's on them if that's way better, US, FedEx. Oh, it comes in a folder that you have to zip it off and you have to sign for that. Or they leave a thing saying, come pick it up in our city. Someone responsible has to sign for those. And yeah, under those circumstances, sure, send them a check if that's what they really want. But
Right.
and ACH also saves a ton of time. You're not stuffing an envelope. You're not running it through the postage mailer. You already have the payee entered in your system. You hit the button, add the amount and hit send, and you're done. And with fraud prevention now, a lot of stuff going to ACH, like my bank, I have to reauthorize all my ACHs and handwritten checks every morning before 10 o'clock. It's double verification. So my bank sends me an email, process your exceptions. I have to go in there and look at checks that I wrote or someone on my behalf wrote. And I have to say, yes, pay. If I don't do it by 10 a.m., it's declined.
Right.
Unless there's an exception. in the
We do
system.
have that system in place as well. It's a good system. Sometimes we do miss those approvals though, because we're human, but we do get an exception report and a positive pay report every day. When things come over, for example, related to postage, we have a limit on postage of $3,000. When we tried to process a $3,500 transaction, the bank said no. So we've been 2 weeks trying to fix that.
Right.
But I didn't have anything else to present unless you all have other questions on this.
Any other questions for the finance director? Thank you for doing a great job.
Thank you, ma'am.
I have dual roles, if that's okay. I will go down.
We're on page 20.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, page 20. So this budget was cut quite a bit last year. But over the last couple of months, I've heard from new council members that have expressed a desire for training and so forth. So you'll see that those training items, lines have, increased for that purpose. Outside of that, everything else is, community relations went up a little bit because of vendor costs, inflation and so forth. Outside of that, if you guys had any questions.
Yes, Councilwoman Noor.
So we're funded, well, not we're, but it shows a line item for the deputy city clerk, but you don't have a.
I do not.
Okay, but just in case.
Yeah. Yeah, so there was a request for one, once they transition to a different department, that position hasn't been filled.
Councilman Cassoff.
Yeah, since we're talking about city council stuff now, we've got a budget that's in pretty serious deficit, and we're gonna have to make some hard decisions over the next year. And I understand that, the new members would like to go to new member training. I get that. If you haven't been involved with city council and you're not familiar with the process, I can see where that's a valuable thing. But I don't see where, when we're talking about cutting hours at the pool and we're talking about not being able to afford to do things for our residents, I don't support spending $5,000 on a retreat. I don't support these thousands and thousands of dollars of expenditures on balls and social events and organizations. I feel like when we're asking the residents to sacrifice, it has to start here. So, and I said this last year, and we cut a couple of things. We did cut the council retreat last year, but then everybody got tired of looking at individual line items and they just let all the rest of them go through. I believe again that since we are in tight budget times and we're going to be asking our residents to sacrifice, that sacrifice needs to start right here at home. And I would ask that we all look at these items in here, and like Mike said about the conferences for the other departments, if it isn't necessary, then we shouldn't be spending the money.
Well, when you have people who are not well versed in municipal governance, they have to be trained.
Which is why I said I understand for the new members of council, if they would like to go to the MML newly elected officials training, I understand that. That part I get. But we don't need to spend $5,000 on a retreat. We don't need to go to balls and social events and banquets and meetings. We're spending a lot of money on those things, and any individual line item, you can say, well, that conference or that banquet's only $1,000 or $1,500 or whatever. But we just finished hearing the director of parks, and I know parks is a different funds, in case anybody was about to say that. I understand it's a different fund, but he's saying, well, the minimum wage is gonna be going up. And we're talking about maybe we're gonna have to close the community center an hour earlier, or maybe the pool can't be open for as many hours. And we're gonna be making decisions like this all over the city. Everything's going up. Our sewer bills are gonna go up. Our, just like your bills at home are going up. And if you look on page 1 of this budget, you can see we've got some deficits. We have some financial issues we have to grapple with. And if we go through same old, oh, well, we've got a couple of million deficit this year, but we've got some money in the fund and we can carry it for 1 year. We're just kicking the can down the road. And again, we're gonna ask the residents to sacrifice. We're gonna have to make cuts elsewhere in our budget. And I believe it should start here at home with the council. And I think we should be, Counselor, the counselor from Ward 1 mentioned, that to Chief Hampton, I believe it was, that, if training's not necessary, feel free, or if this conference isn't necessary, feel free to not do it because we're on tight times. I think every department head should be looking at all the stuff in this budget, because what this budget is everything we've always done. And we're not in everything we've always done times. Not when you're telling residents that if you want to go lift weights at 8 o'clock, that might not be a possibility. If we make the decisions now, $5,000 for a council retreat, if the minimum wage goes up by $1.50 an hour, that's, that's hundreds of hours of employee time, that the increased rate. $5,000 is probably enough to keep the community center open for that extra hour. Now, I don't feel right that we're gonna tell people we're gonna close the community center early, but we're gonna spend $5,000 to go away for a day and eat and drink and fellowship, when we could just as well come down to City Hall if people wanna have a meeting and get together and talk
I know.
and bring in a lunch.
Okay, city clerk,
I was just gonna say, as it relates to the retreat, there may be an opportunity for me to partner with the attorney. I guess the thought here is, do you want to have the retreat? I can work on some cost savings. And the attorney did say that he would, if, he would help us with the retreat. I'm just, not exactly sure what the help would look like, if he's gonna fund it completely. But if the cost is the thing and you just, we can talk to him. If you don't wanna have the retreat at all.
We can get lunch for 7 people from the brew house and it'll cost $100, okay?
Okay.
That we don't need to spend $5,000. We can come down here for the day and have a conference, have a council retreat right here or in there or in January Wabash Park at a picnic table or whatever.
I don't sit outside.
Okay, well, then scratch January Wabash. We need Madam Mayor requests air conditioning. We'll go to a room at the community center or something. But we can spend $100 instead of $5,000 if people want to get together and have a day. Or not have it at all. But there's probably 200 other things like that in here. I'm just picking on the council retreat because that's easy pickings. But it's a whole bunch of other things in there, retreats and meetings and organizations and conventions and classes and this and that and the other. And the bottom line deal here is, when you go, when I looked at the first page of this budget, and this is my second year on council, but I've been looking at budgets for a long time, and I see all this red ink, and the fact that the fund balance on the general fund in 2026, not only do we have a deficit, but the general fund itself is going to go below zero, according to page 10. That about gave me a heart attack, okay? When we've got a general fund forecast to be $152,000 in the red, we ain't going on no $5,000 retreat, okay? We have to make some decisions here and not just roll all the numbers from last year forward and add 3%.
Councilwoman Noah.
I don't disagree with you.
Oh,
But I just will-
agree.
All right, everybody, mark the tape,
I would-
mark the tape.
So specifically, what do you want cut from outside of the $5,000 retreat? What
Well,
else do you want cut?
Attorney Carey said, when we were talking about this earlier, a couple of months ago, that he would assist in a retreat. So would you reduce that number from 5,000?
Yeah, I can leave the retreat if there's interest there, and I'll just take the funding away. We'll take the funding away for the retreat.
Well, I don't want to get into individual items because we're not doing that tonight. We're hearing presentations and asking questions and making general statements. I assume we're gonna have another meeting and people are gonna make motions and we're gonna change individual lines like we did last year. And that's not today, or we'll be here till midnight.
Well, you
But-
put it up.
Well, I'm bringing up the general principle, because we're gonna come back here and go through all these yellow pages line by line and talk about things. And people are gonna say, well, I think page 22, the third line down should be crossed out.
Are we going through P2s the next time? Huh? Yeah, I know, but I was just saying, he's saying the $5,000, so now is the time to
Well, you can
take it out and
Okay,
leave it open and just put per attorney privilege on it, something to that nature.
okay, so.
Councilman Palmer.
So now instead of 152,625 in the red, we're 147,625 in the red. I'm talking about a principle here, and that's great that we can zero out that one line. But what I'm asking my colleagues to do between now and our next meeting, as well as the department heads, because I don't know which things in your department, you've got training and meetings and subscriptions and fees. I don't know what's make or break in there and this is really something we want to do, but we can live without it. That has to be the department heads coming back to us and saying, look, we understand we've got to cut things down in order to keep our city solvent. And so here are the things in my budget that I can sacrifice without hurting my employees or my customers.
Well, that's what we just did. We took the $5,000 out for a start, okay?
That's 1 inch down a mile-long road.
Oh, it's Councilman Palmer.
Sometimes what might be more palatable, at least for, I don't want to get into like Mr. Kassoff was saying, where I start nickel and diming something that is truly essential to a department head. I'd rather say, hey, we're doing 2% raises unless the department heads cut the other 1%. I mean, let them figure out where the fat is and tell their employees they're not going to get a raise unless they, as a department head, cut the fees. That way you put the ball in their court. And we're not withholding someone's pay increase, the department head is, because they're forced then to decide what is a need and what is a want.
Okay.
I'd hate to see us come in and say, we're cutting all this stuff. You're not buying shirts for your staff. They're coming to work raggedy. If those shirts are important to them, you'll find out real quick they want a shirt or a raise.
So, okay.
But also I do want to say that we do also still.
Give it back. You didn't want a shirt.
I know, I don't need a shirt.
Well, I do.
We still have the right throughout council.
Okay, me too.
We still do have the right throughout council to go in and say, let's amend this, let's amend that.
Right.
And this is with our budget. So what we're doing here doesn't affect anybody but us and the clerk. I mean, this is ours.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I asked specifically if, what else do you want to cut? So we can talk about.
But we're not doing that today, right?
No, but we, Dave,
But I've got, see all these pink flags on my, see my budget, all these pink flags?
yeah, we do see your
Right,
flags.
but you don't want me to get into the pink flags today.
At this time, we would like to hear from the assistant
So-
city manager.
I intentionally have notes here that I'm trying to take down to make these changes. So if you have specific things that you want changed, I would either like them to be sent to me, or if you want to discuss them as a group, done now, so I can take them down. The $5,000, that's great, but if you have other green flags for each of these items, and it's something you do want to cut as a group, I need to know
He
that.
said he's gonna cut the whole book, but he don't want to do it tonight.
That's how mine always looks. I get it. I'm asking you as a group, would you rather his items be sent to you via email? You have a discussion, you want to discuss that tonight, but I feel it's valid that you do need to discuss them.
Yeah, but, Councilman Palmer had a great idea, and Councilman Franklin.
So I agree with Councilman Palmer's approach. I mean, you put it on the department heads to cut what's non-essential to try to get in the black. So I don't think it, we may have ideas, but we want to hear from the department heads, because you guys are running the day-to-day operations and you know what's essential and what's not. St. Louis County, we cut travel across the board. So that even if your department or program has a surplus, which mine does, I can't go to conferences that we sponsor because nobody's traveling. Well, most of us are not traveling, but so we just come up with with that. You guys presented to us what you can cut across your departments. And then if council has any ideas like what you just shared with us, we can discuss that as a group as well to see if it's something support.
I like Mr. Palmer's idea in general, but there are two quick issues with that. First of all, police and fire are governed by union contracts, so you can't do that there.
When the contract's up, you cannot give them the 4% they're asking for.
Union contracts are negotiated. You can't count on.
But we cannot negotiate the additional 1%.
Done.
They gonna get that.
I'm not saying modify an existing contract, but when we're up for renegotiation, we can say we're inflexible because our budget doesn't permit this. We can tell them, we can tell the firefighters to kick rocks, you're getting no raise in your next contract.
So, and if you do that, then if there's no agreement between the parties, then
Goes to arbitration.
The contract's in place, stays in place.
Yeah, the contract that you have stays in place until the new contract is ratified.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm not saying to renege on a promise we already made, but I'm saying our promises can be not that great if we don't cut.
And until we can negotiate a new contract at the end of this contract, if we don't come to a conclusion, that first contract still stay in place until a new one is.
Doesn't have raises in it.
And I'm also.
So we are negotiating right now.
Okay, you got the floor, city manager.
Yeah, we are negotiating right now.
I know. Okay.
And those, but I'm also.
Can we have him listen to the city clerk one more time? City.
Just one other thing, I mean, I think it is important that I do hear from the council specifically about this budget, if it is the council budget. I'm taking heed to, you all's suggestion. I will take another look at this budget and see, what other things that I can trim, but I'm gonna need to know from the council specifically, like, if there is interest, I always support some suggestions you guys know to the FML conference. Many things how go to the legislative workshops and so forth, because you guys need, much of the knowledge you can get, right? But I need to know if there is interest in that going, so other than outside of, meeting talks and so forth. The rest of that I can look at because those are items that are necessary for me to be able to do my job, right? But those things are specific to you. If you want to think about it, email me later, that's fine. But I will need to know that specifically so that way.
Well, I have to go to the MML conferences. I'm the chairperson of environmental. I've got 2 or 3 times I got to travel and make a report at the annual. And you all must remember The mayor's seat has to do a lot of intergovernmental things. I don't like going to a lot of places, but I go because I have to.
And some of the places you go cost $100 and some of them cost $1,000. And I'm saying we should go to the $100 ones, but.
So what you gonna do with the report as a chairperson? Don't make it? Gonna go to the.
Well, no, look,
We'll send you a list of stuff, so go ahead.
and again, I don't wanna go, I'm not gonna go through all 50 of my pink tabs tonight, but just another obvious one that's $5,500. We have web streaming service to broadcast council meetings. Other cities put their council meetings on YouTube, which is free.
And that's what we're gonna talk about. We
So-
haven't given her a chance to.
I brought that up last year and we still paying the 5,500 this year and budgeting it for next year. I know other cities do it on YouTube, and it's
We
free.
talked about going to webinar. Go ahead.
That cost is because to put it onto our website, that's what that cost is for.
To put what on our website?
Video, both, all of that information is on our website.
It is.
But if you put a video on YouTube, you can embed the YouTube video on your website. It's one line of HTML code that takes 1 minute to put in it. You can embed a YouTube video on a website for free. And YouTube hosts and streams it for free. They don't charge us $5,500 to put a link to YouTube on our website. I guarantee it. They're charging us for hosting the video itself. But if the video is on YouTube, then YouTube hosts it. We don't. And then it's free. And we don't have to pay that $5,500. That's why I brought it up last year. That's an easy one. I'm trying to get some low-hanging fruit in here and $5,500 there. Boom, we saved $5,500 and now the community center can stay open till 9 o'clock, right?
Never budget, so no.
Well,
You said it.
Nothing stops the
right.
transfer from general fund into parks, just parks to general fund.
Right, we'll put in a transfer.
Okay. All right.
I have a larger piece of low hanging fruit we can discuss.
Okay.
I don't see the need to hire a deputy city clerk.
Agreed.
We had a deputy city clerk. Someone has to cover Octavia when she leaves. Now, let me go give you a little history. Can I do that? Oh, in 2015, it was the duty of the HR director to cover as the deputy clerk. And at that point, when we were not having a consistent HR, Matt Unrein took on the responsibility. Then we got Chris, and Chris, am I not correct? Chris took on the responsibility of the deputy clerk and got X amount of dollars for that. Then he moved, and then we hired a new deputy clerk. Is that not correct? And then she decided that she liked another department and she was allowed to move from deputy clerk to another department. Now, I'm going to say this. Octavia has a lot of work to do. However, when she gets sick,
I got some follow-ups. Clerk Pittman, how long have you worked here for? How long have you been employed in the city of Ferguson for? And has that capacity been a city clerk the entire time?
Yeah.
How many of those 8.5 years have you had an official deputy city clerk?
Unfortunately, about 6 months, 7 months.
Rest my case.
And prior to her coming here, did we ever have one?
yes.
Who?
Megan
Asakanen was our city
She
clerk.
was our city clerk, and Matt Unrein was always be the
He would
deputy
fill
clerk.
in, but that wasn't his job, though. I mean, you could say Dave Musgrave is the assistant city clerk.
He has been.
He done everything.
is the assistant city clerk.
Good, so we don't need one. Problem solved. Moved and seconded.
Come on.
I just wanna add just one thing. I mean, I understand that this is the one office that is the sole, and it's just my sole responsibility to run this office. However, there is a lot of work to do in that office.
I know.
The fact that I only had assistance for 6 months should not mean that I should never give
Right.
when assistance is needed. There are so many different things that need to be done, and I can only do, what I can do.
There are things, zoning and coding, you're gonna have to open up the chart and do some work there.
I mean, this is the, while all departments interact with each other, this is the one office that really does have to work with every department in the city.
So,
I just want that.
Councilman Franklin,
So, personally, I would be in favor of the position if it guaranteed an enhancement in our customer service at City Hall. Because that's the biggest thing I hear from residents is they call the city, no one answers the phone, or no one returns voicemail. So if we're bringing on additional staff in a supportive role, I would hope this additional staff would enhance customer service functions of the city.
You're saying City Hall as a whole, not necessarily city clerk's office.
Yeah, as a whole, yeah, because people call the city and they don't know, sometimes you get prompted and it takes you around. Like, I actually envision calling City Hall and someone answers the phone immediately. Like, normally it's an automated service that moves you around to different departments, and you guys are busy, so you're not always available to answer your call. And sometimes your voicemails are full. I'm just telling you what residents are saying. So if we're gonna sell this position, customer service, I think, has to get better. It's fun.
well, when they don't get anyone, they call me or they call him. And you have to take into account when Ms. Beverly goes to lunch, she doesn't have someone to cover her. So, Councilman Palmer.
We've had a deputy city clerk so infrequently, I need to be refreshing on who's their boss? Is it the city council or is it John Hampton?
They report to.
We had a position, that we recently had deputy city clerk serve both the city manager and the city.
Who hires and fires that person?
So we kind of did it together.
But who are they under? So the city council can direct two people, the clerk and the city manager.
Mhm.
Who can we direct the deputy city clerk?
No.
I always go to the clerk.
Because if it's a clerk's position, it falls under the council's purview. That's not going to really enhance customer service because they would answer to not to John Hampton, they would answer to us. If we have a problem with reception, John Hampton handles that. If we have a problem with Octavia, we handle that.
Correct. The city, the deputy clerk doesn't do receptionist work.
Right.
He's talking about the overall picture. We're talking about something finite.
Okay.
Which is the deputy clerk.
I don't see the deputy city clerk position enhancing customer service at a city level.
She's not gonna do that.
What's what he was saying?
But that's what he was saying.
I know that's what
Which that would mean he's not in favor if it doesn't enhance, correct?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It'd have to be justified, but I'm not here making a decision one way or the other about the position. I'm just speaking on what the concerns of my constituents.
Okay, ooh, I need to take this. Laquita, would you cover please? That's all you have to do is say the next.
So,
Councilman Franklin.
so does the council want to come up with a date for us to go over this material?
We got
Our
our meeting
recommendation.
scheduled.
One before the meeting. So like, when we go into the meeting, we should already, like, I assume we were gonna send our ideas to one another, not just show up to the
We
meeting.
can't have a meeting that isn't a meeting. It has to be.
So what I'm saying is we communicate via email.
Yeah.
Do we want to send suggestions or recommendations via email about things? might wanna change. Do we wanna have a date is what I'm saying for that communication to happen before our next meeting?
My concern is how that looks, you know, with 500 pages, we're each gonna submit to each other 75 changes, and not any of our 75 changes are gonna be identical, most likely. So then, my concern is that the most expedient, I agree, transparency is key. But I don't know how expedient that's gonna be, because I feel like the email is gonna go down a rabbit hole of deputy clerk or dying the lake of the Wabash or whatever.
Well, if you guys can get a list together by Friday, I'm glad to put it in a spreadsheet for you and send it back out to you over the weekend, and you can spitball until Monday.
A
That's
list
you guys.
For all the departments or just,
All departments.
I honestly, I mean, between work, I just got the binder today and I work. And then I don't know if I would be
Next
able
Tuesday?
to.
Next Thursday?
So, some of us may have 75,
Councilman Franklin.
some of us may have 3, so, I mean, if you're passionate about cutting it, Friday, I mean, that would work for me.
But ultimately, any cuts are gonna have to go,
Councilman
We're still gonna discuss.
we'll have to go through a motion and a
Right.
second and then a
So
vote.
if I was hoping to get a list together for you guys, then you would have to make motions next meeting on Thursday. So it's in public meeting, at that point, yes, no, and make a vote for each one. I'm just offering to compile them so you can see them all. in one place.
Councilman Palmer.
Which it was challenging tonight because of we just got this.
Correct.
I mean, literally just got this.
So what, just so you understand my plan, I go by department, 10-10s, 11s, spreadsheet all the way down, and you'd be able to isolate, this is city clerk, this is city manager, this is.
Yeah.
Cause there's some real high level stuff that I've been looking into that, because, you know, it's really hard to micromanage little stuff and it can really ruffle feathers incorrectly with departments. So like, a good example would be, I've been trying to do some homework on our pension. You know, I think we're one of the only places where the city funds the pension and there is no contribution from staff. Like, I can't,
I don't know that you can change that. You gotta make an ordinance to change.
right, but what I'm getting at though is, that's a huge number. You know, we're dumping, was 300,000 or 400,000 this year?
About 40.
$450,000 out of our general fund goes into the pension. And our employees, yes, they deserve that pension, but they have not paid a dime of their own money into that pension.
Well, when
What I was wondering is that unprecedented or is that typical? You know, or how does that look? Because it's basically, when you have a 401k, you pay into that.
But a pension is a little different, right?
Very standard. That's what a pension is.
Exactly.
You don't contribute to it. It's
Exactly.
funded by the organization. 401k, 457, all of that. Those are divine benefits that you contribute to, and sometimes you get a match from the organization.
So no cities require the employees to put in 1% or 0.5%.
Not on a pension. A pension means you don't put anything on it. It's a benefit. Go ahead, Mr.
Councilman
Frank.
Franklin.
So that's kind of changing. So I'm on the old system. Thankfully, I'm on the old system with St. Louis County. They
Yeah, I
provide my
was too.
pension, but I think in 2017, 18, they switched over and now employees have to pay a certain percentage. So they still provide a pension, but now they're forcing them to pay into it. But
Let me
that's-
ask you a question though.
Yes,
Are
sir.
you sure it's a pension
I'm
or is it a
100%
457 plan?
Yeah,
Or some other, yeah, it's another defined benefit plan. It's not a pension.
Right, because when I worked for the county.
Pension means you don't contribute.
It changed.
But if
from
you
the-
contributing or you getting a match, it's a 401k, a 457, it's some type of defined benefit.
Yeah, if it's
plan.
public, it's 457.
Yes.
Well, when I worked for the county, you had to work there 5 years to be vested, but I think in 2017, they changed it
7 years,
to,
bro.
I thought it was 10 years.
7.
It's 7 years, but I think I wanna ask my.
And they
friend.
gotta, I just, I don't know the new plan. I just know they said we gotta pay into the plan now, the pension
Right.
plan.
Pension
So
plan.
I just came from the city of St. Louis and we had both. We had a pension and we had a
Yeah, that's how I
457.
got it.
And that's what we have here.
But that's the old system.
Well, years ago, Florissant got out of the pension business and did not allow any new hires to get into the pension.
Right.
And now they're
And-
trying to change that back. Now they were using loggers.
I'll give you this feedback from my perspective. When I started here and heard that you all had a pension, I was amazed.
Yes,
When I heard that it's 100% funded,
Right.
I was amazed because this is unheard
this day
of,
and age.
which is why we have to keep it. Because
Which is, if it's unheard of though, that means that generally they're in.
it's unheard of because it's old. This is how it used to be done. This is how people were able to work and retire and put their kids through college and all of that stuff. And then the world moved on and you got less and less and less. And Ferguson has purposely said, no, we're gonna give you more
Why has the world moved on?
for money, for money.
But
That's
is
why.
that the pitching?
Well,
Or is that
okay,
just
let me put it to you
approval?
like this.
You get a COLA.
Correct. Let me give you an example. When I was in college, we did a case study. It was on GM, right? No, it was on Ford. The joke was Ford is a pension that makes cars. Their pension was $14 billion a year. So when the financial collapse happened, the reason buyouts happened was because of the pension. You couldn't let $14 billion of y'all money disappear overnight. The country would have rioted.
Pension is a big liability.
Correct. Which is why a bunch of people moved away from it and moved to 450 or 401ks or 457s because it's not a liability. It's not the city's money, it's your money. And the first thing that goes when a company gets in trouble is the pension.
Well, my job is to be a good steward of those tax dollars. That's what I'm doing right now. I agree, a pension is a good tool. But the city can't afford to throw 450 grand into the pension every year, all the while give added benefits to pensioners. You know, that's what's cost. We did a cost of living increase. Did the pension board really realize what kind of financial condition they put the city into?
I'm not sure how to answer that question.
Is that something that we should consider?
Consider what about the pension?
Moving forward, not, no.
You see, yeah, I'm about to get her.
No place not having a pension.
I mean,
We won't have it.
no, you don't.
You don't get nobody to work for you that don't give you some type
You
of
don't-
pension.
You don't remember,
We will not, we.
Well, you need to find you a new employer.
I got a 401k.
Most,
No.
most employers, you are not gonna start a job and get a pension unless it's with the federal government, possibly a municipality. Most employers don't offer pensions like that.
It's one of the benefits you have for working for a municipality. You're not making the money that other people make, and then, so you depend upon the pension, that's why.
Don't you have a pension with the
That's
county?
in-
Yeah.
But for example, for me,
It's 100%.
being a-
Yeah, I'm on the old system, mine's 100%. covered by insurance.
for somebody that's a professional who has, higher level degrees and whatnot, that's very attractive. My eyes lit up when I heard about it, like, okay, I'm losing money by taking the job. I can make more money in the private sector when I was working in Stifel Nicholas or whatever. I can make more money, but I'm willing to do this because I know there's a payout at the end. I get a pension.
At the
And
end of
that's
the
why
journey.
I'm like, this is awesome because it's guaranteed money. I know I can get it. And the majority of the country, they can't get that. They have to add to it.
Councilman Palmer.
I just want to close my comments on the pension with, I am no way proposing getting rid of the pension. I'm just saying it is a massive liability on our books. We've got to figure out a way to make it not a gigantic liability on our books. And I agree, there's a problem. We didn't contribute one year. I understand, but we have to always take into consideration that the pension is always going to be our largest liability on the books. Especially it's tied to the market. If more people retire, there's just a lot of risk there. So we can, when you're pushing 450 grand from general fund right into the pension, you have to figure out why that's happening.
Assistant city manager, then the city manager, and then we'll move from the pension. I didn't know. we
That's
were
what
doing
I was
pension
gonna
out
say.
of the
I mean,
pension.
bottom
Fix the
line,
bastard.
what Councilman Palmer is saying is true. It is a large number that we put into the budget every year. However, because the way it was set up, the way it's in the ordinance, the way everything else, I think the direction the council could make at this point would be to investigate other options. And we could have those numbers brought to you guys. But because you're vested after 8 years, because we have people that are at 6 years and 2 ways away, like 2 years away from vesting, like you will ruffle a ton of feathers if you go that route. But by all means, we could look into lockers, we could look into a 457, other options. But it was done several years ago when Jeff Bloom was here and it didn't make sense at the time. I don't know if it's going to make sense now. But that's what I would suggest personally.
So my final question will be, what is I haven't read the budget, I just got it today. What is the proposed contribution this year anticipated for the pension?
I believe it was set at 450, but I don't know off the top of my head.
I don't know off the top of my
It might be
head.
350.
I have
Yeah.
And also, there's nothing to say we have to be 105% funded either.
That's the point.
You
that I
know,
was
we're in the
making.
top 2%, 3%
Right.
in the nation. And then we also thought, you know, to spread that payment out a little bit, so it doesn't take as big of a hurt at one time, right? That's the other thing.
COLA we did is gonna be a huge thing going forward, that people think that, oh, only 0.5% difference.
Yeah.
That's a big deal when you have 100 pensioners. We actually gave retroactive COLA to people that had contributed, knowing they knew when they got hired here in 1972, their fixed amount when they retired was this much. It just went up. They're not working for us anymore. When they retired, they made $15 an hour. The standard of living now is 35 for that same position. So that cost of living was a big deal. It didn't come across as a big deal, but that was a huge, significant deal. And you take a retired person who may not have worked here for 20 years and gave them an increase in a pension they knew was fixed. They knew when they retired it was never going to go up.
I just said
It's
one
a
last
plan.
thing, because so I'm on an old plan pension where it's covered 100% by St. Louis County. In 2017, the county kind of ran into the same issue, that fund was, it was depleting, people are living longer, so what did they do at the county? They amended the retirement plan, it's still on the books, you can take a look at it. Now they require new employees to pay 4% into their pension plans. And it's 7 years instead of 5 years. And what happens is, let's say you leave 6 years and 6 months. Well, then you get that 4% back, but St. Louis County keeps
The
what
interest.
they contributed to your pension plan. So once you get to 7 years, you're vested, and all of that goes with you if you stay or you go. So I think 4% is what they're now requiring, just to offset some of the costs with the pension plan. I don't know if that's something you guys would consider, but that's kind of how they do it.
Hmm.
Yeah, now, that's a beautiful thing, though. It's definitely a plus.
So I think,
After,
no, I mean, I think right now, if you're talking about potentially not giving raises, and then you're talking about maybe taking away pensions or however you wanna do it, you will definitely lose employees.
But it would
You
be
will.
for the new.
I mean, it's hard enough to
If-
get good
if you
employees
did,
now
yeah.
to stick around.
I'm
Yeah,
going
this
to
wouldn't
put the
be, so like anybody
retirees.
that's here, like we're not changing anything, but if you guys say, yeah,
I'm
we
going
need to
to
do
put the
this to
retirees.
protect the pension plan, everybody here now would
And I
stay on
pay
that
for
old
my
plan.
own
And your new
retirement.
hires would come in on whatever new plan you guys thought was appropriate, so you wouldn't lose those.
Okay.
I just want the record to show, all I wanted to do was cut the darn council retreat. And now y'all turning everything upside down.
So,
I'm the nice guy here. Let the
Madam
record
Mayor.
show.
He said, I'll put it on him tonight.
Position that it was in years ago. And for new employees, it's just something to look at to see, like Dave said, where the numbers are. Because it's antiquated.
No, it is not. No, it's not.
I mean, we haven't even had the actuary study from this year. Have we?
hate to
but we have the.
but I
one
agree with
before,
Councilman.
but we haven't started.
So let's get back. Let's move on.
So this is
Okay,
my
we're
comment.
listening to you.
Right,
because-
this is my comment about the pension, is that you all are right, that it's a liability, but I'm gonna use air quotes with that because the pension is almost self-perpetual. We're talking about $30 million. That's what it is. It can make $5 million profit
Mhm.
this year.
You could also lose.
You could lose
It could lose 5 million,
With the
but
new president.
over time, the market always goes up. You know that. Look at the 10-year mark. I mean, you have a certain rate of return. The
And-
pension will make money.
During COVID, we did not lose money.
We could, like last year, we didn't contribute. The pension went from 102% to 98%. If we're above 70%, we're doing better than 90% of the people who have pensions. So,
If we make
I
all this
do-
money, why we got all them deficits in this budget?
But because once money goes to pension, it's pension. It's like, it's another company. It ain't us. We can't get the money back. The only thing we get back from there is the expense we pay the pensioners. We get that back every time we pay a bill, because as I mentioned before, everything's paid out of general. So pension pays us back. But I do understand what you're saying, but I think that the pension in lean times is an area where we can walk away from that for 2, 3, 4 years, and it's gonna be fine.
Councilman
So you're
Palmer.
advocating cutting $450,000 from the pension contribution for this year's budget?
I'm saying that when times are lean and we need money, if we don't make the pension contribution like we did last year, the pension is not gonna be insolvent or something like that, because it still has the potential to make money. And then once we get the evaluation from the actuary, they will tell us, well, you have to put X amount buyback or whatever in there. And for example, if it's a year where market went up, made money, we didn't contribute, we may not even have to contribute the next
All
year.
averages out. There's down and there's up.
Correct, and that's the point I'm making, that in the long run, the pension is never gonna lose
I
money.
would imagine 50 years ago, the hope that the pension was self-sustaining, the city wouldn't have to contribute money to shore it back up to 100%. I'm just guessing, that's how it was developed initially. And the actuary, somewhere along the line, something was a little bit off. People lived longer.
Right,
People live 10 years longer now than they do when the pension was probably.
right, calculations changed.
But I just want to finish by saying, I in no way am saying, don't give raises, and in no way saying get rid of the pension. I'm just saying, push comes to shove, the city has to pay streets, we gotta pay employees, we gotta keep the lights on. If that's a matter of telling staff, cut 1%, and then you get your 3% raise, they're gonna have to cut 1% out of discretionary. It's there.
That's the other thing you can do, I mean. With new employees coming in, you may make the rest of very low. You know, because then you don't have to pay up. Like,
That's
a
a
lot
good-
of people may not work here to the 10 years, it used to be 10 years, and it went down to 8.
10 years.
You know, and I noticed the push to go to 6 and all that, but that would never happen, right? But that's some potential too.
Yeah, that's an option.
Look at how many employees we've had here that didn't ever made 10 years, they just left, right? And all that money that was put in there.
They didn't put any money in.
Well, I mean.
We paid for 'em, though.
Part of them,
They put
it's
their time.
also added.
They didn't contribute any of their own money.
Right, exactly, but it was added part of.
Right, so it's like saying, right now
They
today,
were part of the actuary's calculation. I understand how.
we have 162 people on the books. So we're gonna contribute for 162 people, but only 105 people are getting paid.
Maybe.
No, for sure. That's how many I'm paying right now.
They could,
So, what's that?
they could die.
What?
But you know what I'm saying? I'm saying that the amount done, we never pay out at that same level or rate.
Part of the-
So we have 162, 170 people, but only 100 checks are gonna go out the door.
One shining light of 2014 is that our pension is in great shape because of that. A lot of our employees left prior to gaining vesting within the pension.
That's the, you know,
Silver line.
the low key
I mean, 2014.
part about the
Didn't say for
pension
$6
is that the
million.
vast majority of the people are never gonna see it. They're not gonna do the 8 years.
Right.
Which
Any
makes you
other
wonder-
question?
makes you wonder then, is the pension actually a real good recruitment tool at that point? Like, if they didn't hang around, they really care if the pension was there.
Well, it depends on who it is for those firefighters, like.
Were you here that
Correct.
night when all those pensioners came through the door and they were standing around the wall? Because it was a mistake made in their check. They serious. They are serious. They're serious. Okay, where are we now?
Yeah.
No, did you finish?
I think it's done.
They were just going to send me whatever they were gonna consider, you know, if they were gonna go to conferences and so forth. Send
Okay.
it to me, and then I'm just gonna do some additional video.
Okay. Who's next on the agenda?
Next up, we have city manager 10-11. I believe I'm gonna go over this. Somewhere at the restroom, I believe. Do we want to circle back about the email with any cuts you want to make by a date, or do you guys?
Are we good with Friday?
Yeah, any cuts, just send them to us.
That's
Okay.
what you were at the restroom. I think the mayor was in the
Courts, right?
restroom. And basically, if you guys can,
You with courts?
no. She's with finance.
Oh, okay. Thought you was in that office over there. Okay, you with finance.
Miss Marlene Space, this is.
Yeah.
Finance.
Right, okay.
She is joining us to get some insight into the budget and to learn a little bit about how to.
I didn't want you to sit too long because sometimes we go off the rails and get back on.
Never, never.
We never go off the rails.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
What you say, man?
So you said Friday?
I was gonna suggest, and it's just a suggestion, if you guys can email me all of your cuts individually to DL City Council, I will put together a spreadsheet on Friday. And I will send it out to you, then you can all have the weekend to look over the cuts to talk about it at next week's meeting. But that's just me offering to compile them, so it's not scattered through all these email chains.
So that's not your job? Okay.
I offered.
All right, all right. I was trying to, I don't want you to feel left out.
So I'm
Okay.
not,
Also talk about.
I'm an Excel nerd, and I will
So how
gladly
you
do
getting-
this.
that's what I was just getting ready to say. I'm leaving out of town, so if I get it to you like Tuesday
That's perfect.
morning,
Unaccepted, Counselor.
be in Chicago.
So you want us to mail you our suggested
The sooner the better. You can give me your suggestions. I will start making the document, and then I will email it out in waves. I'll try to email one out Friday. If you don't have yours in, then send it to me next week. I will add, and I'll email it again when I get the other ones. Is
Okay.
that fair?
Let us know when it's the final.
Well, that'll be up to you guys.
Let us know when you have all 7 people's input.
Can do.
I'll try to do it over the weekend.
No, that's fine. Moving on, you're gonna be on page 37. 37.
Page 37.
I'm going to put on my lovely reading glasses. If you don't mind, I'm gonna sit right here because I have a microphone. This is the 10-11 city manager budget. I wanted to first and foremost point out that overall, this is a $90,000 reduction from the 25 budget. The areas I want to point out that we had changes in, training education, we put back in $3,200. We did cut it last year with the recommendation from council for cutting all training education. Again, John and I are new in our seats. We would very much appreciate going to other training opportunities. If council wants to cut training education, we understand, but that's just my pitch for it. The other one I would point out is community relations, $7,500. If you go back to the B2, it's basically just us being more involved with community outreach, that type of stuff. We just don't feel that the city has a great push when it comes to those type of things. We're budgeting additional dollars there. The other one that's going to change significantly is license service fees, 02048. And let me get back there real quick. The biggest thing there is going to be the cost of Regis. And that's the prosecuting attorney. That's a $3,600 increase. That's what that increase accounts for. Everything else was pretty level in this budget or went down. Those are the 3 areas that increased that I thought were substantial. So I wanted to point those out to you. If there's questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Councilwoman Noah.
Yeah.
7,500, we got 2,500 in event sponsorships, public relations costs, initiatives, 2,500 for public relations projects, and then 2,500 for special event advertising. Yep.
Anyone else? Councilman Palmer?
Do you have an administrative assistant now?
So the administrative assistant that is in here is actually the front desk person that sits down in City Hall and answers the phone. We don't have a direct assistant. We don't plan on having one, but we do pay her salary.
So she also is full-time, but she does not take the benefits, because she was in the military. And the reason we put her full-time is because we need people at the front desk. So I think she ends up working 34 hours.
She actually works 34 hours a week. She can't work more than that because of her military benefits.
So it was a smart move on our part.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Never mind. You have it zeroed out. The assistant to the city manager.
Yeah.
Gone.
Anyone else? You done put your book up?
No, my book's right here.
Okay.
See, there are no pink flags in the city manager section.
What?
The city manager section has no pink flags.
Let's move on to one that does, if anybody else doesn't have questions.
Why? So are all the memberships necessary?
Yeah,
What page are you on, Councilwoman?
they're I'll be honest, they're groups we should be members of, and so we've continued that. I would like another year to evaluate if they're really useful, just because I haven't plugged in as much as I probably should have at some of the municipal groups. The past year, I've been more involved in parks than I typically would because of my presidency for the state level. I just haven't had time to explore everything on the membership side.
So I've been more involved with it, just like these storms. And me and Octavia are looking at it to make sure that we have public works, mutual aid agreements. That's something that came out of one of these groups after the tornadoes. And I do want to make sure the city is protected in case we do have a tornado. There's a lot of cities that are sending support to Clayton, Richmond Heights and things like that. That's free labor, you know, that we could capitalize on if we have another issue. Obviously FEMA would kick in, but it's recording.
Any other questions?
All right, next page is gonna be 86. We're moving on to 1014, human resources.
So Chris is out, and Jonathan, the part-time, we're not gonna have him present, so I will present for him.
So I'm gonna do this one as well.
I got a pink flag on this page, but I'll wait for you.
I already know what it is. I'm gonna point it out for you.
Good. Good. You're gonna eliminate one digit from it?
Possibly. So overall, human resources is down $20,000. The big increases are in health and wellness. It went from 7,500 to 11,000, and that's the cost of the EAP program. The next one is office supplies. The big expense there is an additional $5,000 for cubicles and desks. If you've been up to our office outside John and I's office with all the filing cabinets, everything else on the windows, Chris would like the opportunity to rearrange that and get some cubicles and desk space up there that makes a little bit more sense. He did say if council doesn't like that, he's willing to take the $5,000 out. But those are the two increases that were the biggest ones when it came to human resources. Was one of those your pink flags?
No, actually,
Ooh.
but I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, I expressed to Mr. Crable that if he would like us to close the community center an hour earlier tonight to pay for his cubicles, we'll be happy to do that.
Perfect. We have workers in those queues.
And we'll put a sign up that says hours changed to 8 o'clock by order of the director of human resources.
Sounds great.
No, tuition reimbursement, we go through this every year. Every year we budget $25,000. Every year we use a small fraction of that. Might we reduce that some, or do we anticipate a great deal of demand
Here's, and we've had this discussion. By all means, we can reduce the amount that's budgeted. The kicker is gonna be if we have an employee start and they're promised tuition reimbursement, we come to you guys, it's gonna be a budget amendment at that point. You say no, then I have to go back to the staff person and say, I'm sorry, council doesn't want to pay for your tuition, and they potentially leave.
So, I don't know what we offer for tuition reimbursement.
It's a tiered system, and it's only so many credits per year. I want to say it's around 3 credits, but it's based on the UMSL's rates.
Okay, so they can't go to Wash
No.
U and send us a $10,000.
Yeah, if they get an A, it's reimbursed at like 90%. If they get a B, it's 80%, C, 70%.
It's 90% of UMSL tuition.
That's what it is.
There's nobody's got time to spend, you know, ain't nobody taking 12 hours a semester at UMSL while working here. And this is for full timers, right?
Correct.
Okay, so you can't lifeguard at the pool and get your UMSL tuition paid.
You cannot.
Then I'm comfortable with cutting that way back.
Yeah, so like right now, the part-time HR person would like to use it, but we cannot have him use it because he's part-time and he's in school for HR. But
Okay.
he would be a great benefit for
So
us.
if we're talking 90% of UMSL tuition, then yeah, we're never gonna burn through 25, right? I was worried about that if that meant, you know, we were paying somebody to go to Wash U at full tuition or Fontbonne or something. That can run up, you can spend $25,000 on one
Yeah, we
person.
know it's close.
So
Okay.
one last thing on that, they could go to WashU, but we're only.
But we're only paid.
Want to pay the UMSL
Yeah.
rate.
Right.
Okay, Councilman Palmer.
One suggestion I have for tuition is just take the 10-year average and round the nearest thousand up.
I mean, I'll be honest, I'm comfortable taking it down to like the $10,000 mark because we've not exceeded that in the past 3-4 years. But I would like to just put out there, if we got close to that, we may come to you with a budget amendment. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but just with that understanding.
So you want us to kind of.
We'll go back down to 10?
Right now,
Cut it to 10, I know where we are now.
Yes.
You keeping track on.
we are.
If it's a relatively easy search, look at the last 10 years expenditures and see.
It would be if I had better internet right now, but it's not.
These are-
Councilwoman Noah.
Example of employee relations, that like, the holiday party, employee relations.
Employee relations may be like coffee cups. It may be
It's outlined in here.
the service awards.
So I was gonna say, the B2 in here outlines, it's the employee picnic, the holiday party, service awards for employees, employee appreciation recognition activities, drug screening for existing employees, and employee handbook. That's what's all called out there.
And the employee handbook we're redoing at this time.
So will each department also, have funds for holiday or department events, or it's all?
All housed here.
Like the fire department has PR events, but it's more geared towards the community. But yeah, like police have the same, but it's geared towards community, maybe under something similar, but it's, yeah, community relations.
Okay, pass off.
Page 98, professional services, $3,000 lawyer's fee. What is that?
That is for, I'm sorry, like EOC claims, anything like that, that we would have to do through HR.
So that's not covered by our retainer.
Separate lawyers.
Oh, okay.
This is milk run, right?
Pull that pink flag out.
Ooh, we getting them down.
I've still got like
Oh,
80.
I guess she.
There's
Councilman
one.
Bowler.
There's one.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I've seen fire safes in here like 5 years in a row.
What is it?
Fire safes.
Yeah. We have.
You have, he hasn't bought it yet.
Yeah, buddy.
So to be. The part-time guy right now, along with our payroll person, is going through all the pension files right now, and we need to get a better fire safe for those, and so they're gonna be working towards that, and I really think this year will be the year he buys it, but he has not purchased it
But,
yet.
and it also has to be locked up, but the safe down here is not locked during the day.
So I don't wanna go too far down a rabbit hole, but is there a legal requirement to keep those paper files, or could they be scanned and kept somewhere in a drive?
So I believe we have to keep the originals, especially for the pension documentation because of the signatures, but there is some stuff that we can keep scanned, and Chris has been trying to work towards that. He just hasn't had the help, and now he does, so that's one of the tasks that the part-time guy has.
Yeah, there's some items that linger every year in the budget, like fuel spill. You know, streetlights on Suburban, those have been in there for 4 years in a row.
But with that, we're right now still with the consent decree, we still cannot get rid of some of that paperwork. So we still have to house it. We have
That's
to
what
house
we're
it on
buying
locked
25
areas.
some fire safes every year.
Yeah, like some of that paperwork that we have on the computers, it may not be in the fire safe, right? It's now in a computer, it's in a closet over here. We just can't throw it away. Our disposal.
You've got $5,500 for EAP on page 88. On page 98, you have $3,552 for EAP provider.
So EAP on 88 is in the health and wellness section. You said 98?
Page 98, you have EAP provider, 3552.
Or the flu shots and all that. So the one program
health-
is health and wellness is when we do, actually it benefits us with our insurance as well. So we actually gain money, the more people we have come to this event. It is where any spouse and any employee can get their blood work done. And then you get that as part of health and wellness. We actually can get more money off our insurance, more people that would actually take benefit.
Well, no, I mean, I know what EAP is, but I'm asking, why do we have a second EAP entry in a
So
different
the
budget?
health and wellness one is budgeted for the flu shot clinics and that kind of stuff. The other one that's under professional service is the budgeting for the, what is it? The peer-to-peer and the, counseling services that we offer for employee assistance.
So
Two separate.
it's just part of EAP, that health and wellness. So it's the flu shots, it's if we have to have COVID shots, they come in and do the COVID shots. It's also the shots that are the blood draws and all that.
If we provide health insurance provides flu shots and COVID shots. Why are we paying for it a second time?
We're not paying for, well, I guess we're not paying for the flu shot itself.
Yeah, we're paying for the employee to be, the worker to be there during the time to administer them.
Yeah.
So we have two different events. We have the flu shot event, we have the blood work event.
They can go to Walgreens and get a flu shot and then we don't have to spend $5,500. I'm just saying,
But then there's not record of it for us to get the reduction in our health insurance.
It saves money.
Most employees.
That health and wellness saves us money. There's on the slate right now, we're getting a 6% increase. Where other cities are getting 9% and they have a lower rate of people coming to the health and wellness events. And our insurance is actually used more than most cities.
Any other question for the assistant city manager?
Good.
Okay.
Let's
Next,
roll.
we're going on to citywide, 1017.
wait, what pay?
What page?
It is
104?
104, I believe. All right, reading glasses again.
Did you take note of that time? The tuition?
Yeah, I have it. I have it. 1017, overall, this budget's down $15,000. The decreases you're gonna see are gonna be elections, because we only have the one election this year, went down about $29,000. Liability insurance went down about 50,000, and then liability deductible went down about 17,000. The increases you're gonna see is license and service fees. The number, I believe, on your page is wrong. So it's listed at 74,000. It's actually supposed to be 77,400, and your B2 is incorrect. So what that actually encompasses is $30,000 for the city website, $200 for our Sam's Club membership, 47,000 for OpenGov, and another $200 in just other licenses and service fees, which
So
takes
what
you to a
should it
total
be?
of 77,400.
770,400. Okay.
The corrected page has it right.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. I gave you wrong.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
corrected page has it
right
right.
here.
So one other thing that we're looking into that may fall a little bit under this, we're looking at using the credit cards less because we do have an interest rate on that. Where if we get an Amazon business card, there is basically no interest rate. A lot of our stuff can be bought through Amazon.
We're actually looking at being invoiced directly from Amazon where they bill us every 30 days. Joseph went ahead and flipped the bill this year for Amazon Prime business out of the Parks Department for the entire city. We'll probably have to pick up part of that next fiscal year, which will be after the next budget. It'll be to the tune of a couple $100, but one of the perks of the Amazon business account is they will invoice us. We don't have to use the credit cards like Chief said. Department heads will have the ability to approve or deny orders, and it should expedite the purchases that way.
Fire department does it right now. It's like if someone goes in and buys something, I have final approval, so they just can't go ahead and buy it. This is,
Councilman, go ahead.
Credit card interest generally only applies to unpaid balances. Are we not paying our credit cards in full? at the end of the month?
well, we're still fighting over that $18,000. And that's something that they are insisting that they're not paying. We now have, I believe, our lawyer on that as well.
What's it, UMB?
Yep.
All right,
And this was part of the mail fraud that has been taking place, but part of the problem was when we had the finance structure, I believe it went too long of a period when it was not caught. And I believe they actually put it to a different account or something like that.
Actually, what happened was finance covered that. I paid for it out of my budget because we couldn't get the money back. UMB, they basically said it was too long. We're not going to cancel that. And then the credit card company, they're not gonna forgive it either.
Explain for me again, this $18,000 is for what?
It was for payment.
We mailed them a
We
check,
mailed a check.
got washed in the mail.
Yeah.
It was stolen and cashed. And we inside of Ferguson are like, our bill's paid. We can see the checks cashed. Well, Visa never got the check. the bank didn't protect us with the check. They didn't go through all their, well, I'm not gonna say they didn't go through their fraud checks. Basically, we had a lower level fraud account, fraud prevention account that didn't check all the key information on the check. So that's what the answer was that I got 3 years after this happened.
My question.
That's-
It was,
They cashed it at UMB.
you can
They
see
got it out
that,
of, they got it out of mail. This was all that mail fraud.
you can,
UMB cashed a UMB check out of our account.
It was one of our checks going to UMB.
We bank with UMB.
Yeah, but.
well, yeah, it was our check
Our
written
check.
on UMB stock
Yeah.
to Visa to pay a bill. In the mail, somebody took that check, washed it, wrote their name on it, and cashed. So we have a copy of the check with the person's name on it. We don't know who.
Positive pay at the time.
Well, the positive pay account we had did not check all the key bits of information.
Yeah.
It checked the check number and it checked the amount. Didn't check the name. So we didn't get an alert. And once we finally got an alert, 6 months later, because Visa's like, where's our money? And we're like, check is cashed. The bank would not honor.
So this was
Paying us
before
the money
Margaret.
back.
This is
But
when.
UMB
So-
would cash an $18,000 check made out to an individual
Yeah.
without calling us. Sounds like we should close our accounts.
Yeah,
That's the thing, you guys think. But
and I
Apparently-
second that
Did
motion.
you say $30 million of our pensions with UMB? Wealth management?
look, I made the same argument, and what I found out
If I
is
get a resolution to remove our bank accounts, I will sponsor that bill.
it's in you all's court because the ordinance says the bank must be physically located in the city of Ferguson.
Okay, US
And there's
Bank.
not very many banks in the
Brother,
city. of
US
Ferguson.
Bank.
Yes, Bank and Commerce just opened up on,
So, me and
there's-
Central Bank.
We just met with Commerce.
Huh?
The bill.
We just met with Commerce.
yeah, I paid Commerce to open up that place and they
Well-
did, so.
And that gets me to one of my other pink flags. We have a $24,000 UMB analysis charge. So they're charging us $2,000 a month for the privilege of having our account.
That's
You
the
know
cost of
what?
doing business, though. You get that
That's
charge at all the banks, and it basically.
not when you
it-
have billions of
it's
dollars.
an analysis
in there.
fee, but what it is we do a lot of volume in our bank. I mean, that's just the reality. I mean,
That-
every week we pay hundreds and hundreds of checks that get processed through there. We're doing
That's a
payroll,
negotiation.
we're doing pension, we're doing all of this stuff, and there's a fee associated with it.
You don't think we can find a bank to put $40 million into that'll give us banking services for free?
I bet
I
you
think
could.
that yes,
I'll
it's
bet you
a
could, so.
potential avenue of relief. Yes, I would not suggest that we don't bank with UMB. I'm a proponent of being diverse, so that if something happens at UMB, we have other things, other places. We don't have every bit of investment with this investment bank.
No, you shouldn't put all your eggs in one
No.
basket.
But they're all in one basket right now.
But that, as
And
I
they're in the
mentioned,
basket
that's
that's
because
charging
of
us
the
$2,000 a
ordinance.
month.
So
So-
Commerce Banks is actually pushing to do a study on our pension plan to see if we can get more of a return than UMB, right?
Okay,
And
good.
That's what Dave and me are giving them the information to look at that.
My suggestion is if staff thinks it's time to look around and consider the idea of a new lending partner, banking partner, take all of our banking concerns with the budget, draft a resolution, and say, our council is considering this. What do you think? And I bet you all those fees go away.
Well,
I bet you.
let
bet
me
you're
just
right.
relay a bit of a conversation I had with UMB about that money. I told them it's completely unacceptable that you're keeping our money. It's our money, not yours. Your job as a bank is to prevent fraud, and it's unacceptable. I will not let this stand. And they basically told me, we don't care.
Then I would have come to the council and let
With
them
the
know,
resolution.
and it's time to go.
Yep.
Sounds like
Well,
we're having a public comment.
I think there's more
All
room
the
for
personnel
discussion, and
should be
again,
like
I don't think
UMB.
we should leave UMB. They do great work for us. They've been the bank for years and years, but I think we should diversify and at least
They do great work.
if, for example, you have a monopoly, you have no incentive to continue to do better and give better service.
What happened to FDIC? You know, that was fraud. It should have been covered. Somebody should ensure that.
I agree.
No, that's not
However,
okay.
there's different level of fraud protection. And at the time when this happened, because this happened back in 2000 and what? 2022.
Yeah, when
So
checks
it
was,
happened in 22. The level of fraud protection that we had, as I said, was check the bank or the check number and the amount. That's it. Since we've had this issue, we've upgraded to positive pay. We've upgraded to check the bank or the name, the account,
look,
all of it.
when I travel and I pull my visa out, too many times they stop it. I have to call in and say, hey, I am the one using this card. I got to give them the last two transactions before they open my card again. You go to bank with a bank, that long length of time, and somebody gonna come in and cash a $18,000 check, and you're not gonna say anything? You just gonna cash it?
Well, it was on positive pay. This is what their argument was.
This brings full circle why we should be mailing checks to Visa.
Agreed.
They take ACH.
They do.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so at this time, we have already started looking, people are coming in to talk to us. We are reaching out to, was it US, is that the next one?
US Bank.
US Bank, but right now, Thomas wants to look at pension, we're gonna let them look at the pension. And they basically have, they do a lot of pension, basically they have more growth than UOB, and that's something we've already started looking.
We have
into.
Central Bank across from Walmart.
So we will continue to look into this and we will update council and bring something to.
In the meantime, what recourse we have about this $18,000?
There's none. I spoke to the lawyers about it. They agreed that it's unreasonable. However, it's legal. In the agreement with the bank, there's a clause and it says you have X amount of time to do these things. And because of the circumstance, we didn't comply with that.
But
because we didn't know.
But we do have one recourse.
They didn't know.
Yeah.
But we're supposed to have a business relationship with them.
Yeah.
Well, I agree, and I'm not trying to defend them, but I will say that they did honor many other instances where that happened, where they did pay us. It was just this one was outside of their time frame. And they were just like, sorry, we caught you up on those, we took care of those, but this one, not so.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
I'm more
this
concerned.
one was when we had one of the finance directors that we got rid of. And that was one of the reasons why he was let go.
I know.
Believe me, I argued with them. I went to legal and was like,
I would argue about
Absolutely
that
not.
$24,000 service charge personally,
On
but
page 110, I see the Shamrock Ball listed again. It was on the city council budget, I believe, already.
All right, and pull it out.
110?
you pull it out both places if you want to
No, you
anticipate
can't
the
do that.
spreadsheet that I'm gonna be sending in.
10/17/02/042. We make a note.
Well, we'll just close the pool a half hour early instead. All right.
And
Okay.
17, Audrey.
All right. Councilwoman Covington,
look at that and see the deal.
On 114.
Which one is
what
it?
time are we due out, Miss?
That's the printers.
First.
Copy.
The copiers, yes, we got a lot of them. Do we need all of those?
Which page? I'm sorry.
114.
Yeah, so I can go through them line by line, but this is the overall lease citywide. So you've got City Hall upstairs by John and I's office. You have the police, you have Firehouse 1, you have the Parks Building, you have the city garage, you have City Hall, the first floor, which is outside finance. We have dispatch over at PD, then we have the media room, and then also the police record room.
So dispatch doesn't exist anymore.
That dispatch is actually the office ladies in front.
Okay, so where's the record room?
Record room is back left side of the building.
Yeah.
So it's 50 feet away from the other one.
Point blank, we could probably reduce, but this contract's gonna be evaluated in December because it's up in December. And it'll all be redone. These costs are based off the current contracts.
And so this gets back to the whole, let's not mail so many things, let's not copy so many things, let's not print so many things, let's start digitizing, enter the 21st century.
Some of that is scanning.
I mean, it's $30,000 in here.
Yeah, with our copiers, there are also scanners. So, that's how we pay all of our bills, and most of the stuff that we do is also scanned through those machines into our servers.
Councilman Nord and Councilman Palmer.
Question about that, and then another question. What does copiers do? Does the staff have to input an ID number, or do you all keep track of?
Depends on the location.
I'm just curious because most employers do, you have to enter an ID.
We have counts of all the copies, color, black and white, blah, blah, by machine.
Have to.
And then
get
depending where the machine is
permission from
located, if it's in a more public space, they put an ID to be able to print.
Different community relations for the city manager's office and for the citywide. I mean, what community relations, aren't those pretty much the same type of community?
No, because one could be citywide community relations and one could be more or less from the city manager's office.
Yes, sir, but I'm asking, like, what's an example of what's the difference? I mean,
One could be for all the departments and all the departments being, within that would be citywide. Whereas if it's something with just the city manager, that's gonna be the city manager's office.
So like a publication coming out?
I can't.
So our PIO wouldn't be able to help with that? It would be more of a publication that's coming from the city manager or the
You still
entire
have-
city?
This is the cost for the actual printed materials, whether it's for the brochure, the signs. PIOs just absorb labor at that point.
Okay, thank you.
You,
Relative to the copiers, like, we have a lease, obviously. I remember I was on council when we negotiated these leases.
Yep.
We changed vendors. Is this a per item lease? Is this per machine? How is this structured?
It's per machine, but it's all the whole city, together.
So it's
And they
both.
provide maintenance, repair, and ink and toner.
Yes.
Correct, not paper.
My request would be of staff to ask the vendor for a quantity, how many people we're printing. Maybe do a very quick analysis. We could go buy a bunch of brother multi-function.
We do that when we do the, bidding.
Right,
process.
we could buy a bunch of $600 pretty nice multi-function brother scanners with toner, maybe we can do it for cheaper per page, I don't know, those things last forever. I mean, I understand it's something small, it's not as
I have
cool
one
as this big.
We do have some printers at desk and some scanners at desk. Some of the printers that we do have that were expensive are, $500-600. We can't connect to some of our server stuff, or we can't scan to our server. So
I'd just be curious, taking 30,100, dividing it by the number of things we copy and seeing what our costs.
we definitely know we can bring this cost down because we've already had communications with one printing company. And they really want our business, so I know we can bring this cost down.
Right.
Any other
I would bring up again the National League of Cities. Brought this up last year. Other than driving a bus here one time in my 4 years on council, about around the city with us, what have they provided us?
I do have a T-shirt, yes.
It must be on their
Page 107.
That membership. Yes, sir.
I had asked last year for staff to evaluate the value provided by this membership.
Is that membership?
Okay, that's only $3,000 and I did get a T-shirt, Mike, so. I wanna be fair about that.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that
The
one,
municipal league,
I
the
have-
St. Louis County Municipal League.
I would
did not
like to
give me a
keep-
T-shirt.
Musgrave speaking, I'd like to hear what he has to say.
Sorry.
National League of Cities, I have not used in 12 months. The County Municipal League, Missouri Municipal League, North County Inc., Northwest Chamber, and the Great North County Chamber, I have attended, have went to all of those this year. I'd be fine getting rid of National League of Cities personally, but again, I'd like to be able to evaluate it, but I haven't used it.
we don't do much with the National League of Cities. We don't do much. We don't go to the conferences or anything. I read their newsletters and see what's going on in other cities. Nobody throw anything at me. North County Inc.
We're gonna still using that, but the FFPD,
I'm fine with getting rid of them.
I mean.
We're actually
but I'm saying, I have-
We're starting to use them more and more, though. But
FFPD
if you guys don't want them, we don't.
is a way to help support-
Can I-
Go ahead.
The only worry I have with North County Inc., we did just enter into an agreement with them to help with local businesses, and they're bringing us.
Okay,
Help how? I mean,
So they hired a full-time staff member to help gather resources for any of your local business, totally free to us as a city. So basically, we're getting a staff's resources to help with grants funding. If they need help with repairs, we can refer them to North County Inc. They work with that person directly and they can help them find resources for their business.
okay, I forgot about that. Okay.
resources.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you what, if that stays in, I wanna make a mental bookmark here that next year, somebody had better say, this business at 123 South Florissant got a $10,000 grant because they went to North County Inc. and the staff person helped navigate them through some tangible benefit. Not, oh, well, we went to a meeting or they were available, because available and don't know how to use it don't mean anything. And went to a meeting, to me, okay, we go to the Northwest, Missouri Municipal League, we go to the meeting, you go to a meeting, okay. I wanna know specifically what is better, or how were you able to do your job better that was worth $3,000 to them? And the same thing with St. Louis County, because I want to tell you something. I emailed the director of the county municipal league to ask him about the land bank situation. And he didn't know, that guy didn't know what he was talking
You
about.
talking about Pat?
I think so. Whatever, he emailed me, and what he emailed me was incorrect. And I emailed him back a quote from the bill that showed it was incorrect, and then he never responded. So I'm not impressed with them either.
Well, I would say this as far as, North County Inc. I don't think we have been best utilized at North County Inc. Because when I reached out to you all, and then I reached out to North County Inc., it was shared that they can help us promote Ferguson events, but when it comes to the business itself, they would have to be a member of North County Inc., but they can help us promote like FSBD, but not the individual business. So I just think we haven't underutilized North County Inc., but I won't argue if you all want to take it out. So
No, I got a meeting with them in the morning. I need to clarify that because they supposed to help all the businesses in Ferguson. That's supported at $4,200.
well, please clarify.
I will clarify with Rebecca in the morning. Let's get to city
Yeah,
manager.
one thing that we are starting to change is we've been so reactive to things, right? And we are now finally starting to be a little bit more proactive. So I would like to do what Nick said and Mike said as well, to let us evaluate this year, tell you exactly tangible things that we can actually come away from this. But we are getting to less and less reactivity of just everything coming at you at miles an hour, to being more proactive. And if we don't use these things as a proactive tool, then it's not perfect.
Okay, go ahead.
And like I said, I'm fine with leaving the 4,200 for the member, for the dues for Northern County Inc., but we need to see some sort of reward, something for that, something come to our city from that. But also, does being a member of North County Inc., paying the dues of approximately $350 a month require us to sponsor all these events they have as well?
I don't believe so.
Because I'm fine with keeping North County Inc., but maybe we should cut the annual breakfast and the 30 and their 30 sponsorships that are listed on 111 and also on 26. We had city council and clerk, there was $1,000 that referenced NCI.
Isn't the Shamrock Ball in North County Inc.?
No.
And let them explain.
Who is that?
You can do that.
Then, what,
Sure.
what do we get from it?
I can do that.
126, you said, Palmer.
Page 26, just 26 had a reference to NCI for annual events. but also is referenced on page 107, or I'm sorry, 111.
I'm fine removing it from 111, if you want me to.
Well, I'm fine with getting rid of both of them. Personally, if we're gonna keep the membership, and we just, it's in place of that, we don't show the.
I mean, it's charged for the special, no.
If you remove it from, I'm sorry, Mayor, if you remove it though from the, council budget, know that that's not also, so that does include if the council goes to something of the end. But it's also in the mail events in here and just various events. So if you, that's, I would just, what you see out.
Okay,
You know, might be to reduce the amount rather than cut it.
Okay.
Because that also, includes other things.
okay. With NCI,
That's 10.
let me share this with you. We had a city manager that did not do the paperwork for opioids. And a nonprofit came to NCI willing to help municipalities to get that opioid money. I was at the meeting, I immediately gave the information to John. And John worked with them to get the opioid money. So that's a plus. That's a plus. They were there. I was there at the meet. I don't miss my meetings. And they were there to say any municipality missed out on the opioid monies. This nonprofit is here, brought it to John. John talked to him, and now we in the suit. So that's a positive from NCI.
Yeah, also with the NCI, the CIT part of policing.
Mhm.
Is also pretty big, but that's where the police chiefs and organizations do come, even the fire departments come. We learn about different organizations that can help us with, mental health for our residents.
See, the funny thing about it is though, the opioid thing, that's not a North County thing. That was every municipality in the whole county and really in the whole country.
But we missed it because
Right, I understand that. Why, so if we're gonna leave North County Inc. in there, cause they got us opioid money, maybe St. Louis County Municipal League should have done that, maybe we can cut that $7,300 out. Cause they got the opioid money in Baldwin and Oakville and Chesterfield too.
But the municipal league sent the information out. Our finance department, I'm not department director, didn't do what
Didn't
you
do the
supposed.
work,
Yeah, so the leagues are doing their job.
Well, they could.
It's when they get to us.
And then
We got a new finance director doesn't
And then
miss
North County
anything.
Inc. bailed us out with that by having some additional remedial assistance. Which I guess the municipal league could have did that too. I don't know, we sent in 3,000 here and 7,000 there and whatever.
All right, just to recap, I took out the Shamrock Ball at 1,500 and 1017-02042. Removed the National League of Cities at $3,000, and then removed North County Inc. sponsorship at $1,000, all at 17.
What, you mean the breakfast?
In 30 in their 30s or whatever.
Yes.
The 30 and the 30, what is that?
The
NCI
leadership breakfast recognized in the top.
Oh, that's the 30 and 30, okay, I just know it as the breakfast, okay. All right.
Any
We
other
keep the
thing?
membership and we don't go to the breakfast.
That's what I understood.
Fine with me.
I'm just the notes guy.
Your mayor sits on the executive board. I tell y'all, this seat comes with a lot of meetings and a lot of events.
And a
That's
lot
the
of
question.
bills.
Yeah,
So
but you all have to realize this seat, I don't care who sit in it, we are the third largest municipality in North County. And we are expected to be at events and represent the city and North County, and mayors pull on us all the time.
I don't care if you go to the event. I just don't want to send them another $1,000 on top. For $4,200, they could give you some pancakes.
It's not even pancake.
Times are hard, man. You could bring your own maple syrup in your purse if they can't afford it.
Sugar free.
I like the real maple syrup. That's expensive.
Okay, Councilwoman Covington, you got your hands up.
Yes, can we go to page 113? Is that copier a different one, and where is that one located?
Yeah.
And do we?
The Wells Fargo lease postage for you, that one,
Yes, yeah,
that does all of our postage.
There's also a copier listed too.
it's a copier list at the top.
Wells Fargo copier.
Yeah,
Yeah, that may be is that part of the checks? Is that the one that prints the checks?
I think all three of those, there's the lease for the postage meter, which is the actual lease.
See, I done
The
done
actual
it.
postage machine, I think the Wells Fargo copier is the machine that does the checks.
Yes.
and that's the only thing it does. is check.
Handwrite, didn't we?
You can get them forever
the one.
stamps down at the post office. in a
Wait,
big
we need that
toy.
machine.
Save $1,000.
The forever stamps, you could get 100 of them.
Right, you get
you
it
can't
in
use
a,
one of the
you could
regular-
you can get it in a roll.
Can't use one of the other
We'll talk to the new
printers.
bank.
Okay, they're gonna talk to the new bank. Anything else, Dave?
Unless you guys have anything for 17.
Anything else? Do we have another department to go?
We got a couple to go. Moving
Where
on to
would you say
1023.
usually Walking around. Okay, let's go.
Information technology, 1023. Let me get your page number.
Page what?
So with
1023.
this,
23.
I do agree.
Page
Oh,
148.
that's the
148.
department.
148 is the page number.
48.
Did still have a question on.
You need to stick to the page
citywide.
numbers and quit throwing all this other nonsense around.
Go ahead.
I still had a question on citywide, based on our closed session on page 119, there might be changes here.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's the legal,
We may have-
Lewis rights retainer.
Correct.
We may have a whole bunch of changes in there, the monitor overlay and
Yeah.
other things, but this could be slash.
It's coming soon.
It could be a $300,000
And what city letterhead?
That's the actual paper with the C letter at the top. We buy it every other year, truthfully.
We gotta
Alright.
have a letterhead.
1023, information technology. Overall, this budget is up $20,000. The biggest area is in license and service fees.
Got any pinks?
If you flip back to the B2 for license and service fees, you will see exactly what that is. Microsoft raised to $98,000. It used to be $78,000 for a 365 agreement. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I looked on the Microsoft website and I'm curious what our deal is with them, that number is so high.
We pay per license.
No, I understand that, and there are different levels of licenses. How many licenses do we have?
Oh, it's pushing 140 something right now.
140 something licenses. How many people do we have sitting at desks using Microsoft
The problem
applications?
is, you have to remember, community center, since it's your favorite thing right now.
Right,
There are 3 computers at that front desk that have to have a license each to be able to operate.
you're right.
So that.
Well, they have to have windows. If they're not,
Police officers. Now, all the police officers have to have license for their cars. It's the emails through.
so we're paying for a complete Microsoft Office 365 license just so someone can
Because-
use Outlook.
Outlook, and then our phone system's tied into it and everything else. Like the whole thing's migrating completely through Microsoft.
And this will also help us with the, I didn't get a phone call or, no one's answering the phone. We'll actually be able to track who's answering the phone, who's calling people back, how long they're on the phone. So we're gonna be able to fix some of that customer service that apparently we lack a lot of. Especially with not calling people back or, voicemails being put. So.
That was the only thing that really changed in information technology.
Okay, finance director.
And also, as T said it, which offers a higher level of collaboration between the city. We can make phone calls between each other without using the phone in Teams, we can collaborate. Send documents back and forth without using the servers and all that stuff.
Like a working document.
365 is actually good.
365 is great. I'm very familiar with 365, but I mean, hundred and forty something licenses. I gotta go back and look.
And
Yeah,
don't
that's a
quote me
state
on that
bid.
yet.
That's
because-
state bid, isn't it?
Yeah, it's state bid pricing, so we have the best price we can get.
Yep.
Shoot me an email tonight. I'll get you an accurate number of licenses tomorrow,
We used to do it,
after 1 o'clock.
it used to be a lot different, and now everything's cloud-based,
Okay.
Chief hates it.
but I hate it.
All right, there's nothing else for IT. I'm gonna move on to courts.
Okay.
10-12.
Okay.
I'm looking, I don't know off the top of my head, my aren't numbered, I apologize.
56.
Page 56.
57.
All right, again, this is not my budget, but I'm presenting it. She's out of town today. Overall, courts has an increase of $9,000 across the board. The biggest change you're gonna see, again, we put training education back into the tune of $700. It was removed last year. That's council's prerogative again. License and service fees went up about $2,000. That's the Omnigo that they had to add in. And then professional services went up $7,000. That's because of the caseload of the judges and they have more time invested in courts. Our judges are all contracted. That's accounting for more cases, more tickets, all those lovely things. So those are your 3 areas of increase in the court's budget. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. 'Cause I am very affluent in courts. Not that I get tickets. Yeah, you left.
Yeah.
Best for last.
Okay, so the next one will be, if no other questions.
Yes, Ms. Noor, you got a question? Oh, okay.
Okay.
I do have a question back on PD, if you guys are able to answer relative to the chief being here. Does this budget account for not having dispatchers anymore?
Yes.
So those all have they've been laid off or repositioned somewhere
So
else?
I believe we have one that is working in the office, but we're not sure how much longer. Or if maybe they may.
My dispatch is essentially
Gone.
at mothball at this point.
Yeah, so, but that is a $200,000 expense, and it's in system-wide communication.
Okay.
But like Chief said, we also lost that $180,000. So it's basically $20,000 more that it's costing us from a license that we didn't have before.
No, it was a significant savings, just
Oh,
with
100%.
licensure and staffing and all.
I mean, even just upkeep of the computer, because each station was like $21,000, we had 5 and we had to redo them all. So this is a huge savings.
Mayor Brown,
Yes, ma'am.
for clarity, we no longer have ShotSpotter, but we have access to the data from ShotSpotter, like the county sends us information or.
We can get it from county if we ask, but it's not immediate,
Oh, okay, I was.
because we're not part of the system.
So, yeah, because I mean, they're not looking at our system, where our system's gone. We only have 1 square mile. So county's not watching over our system. It's not there.
We would have to request the data.
And you're looking at over $150,000 a year. And that was one of the reasons we got rid of that.
There's only a small portion of the city too.
It was only 1 square mile. So,
Ooh,
There's
okay.
actually some other companies, I think actually. Block actually has some gunshot detection
So,
that
they do,
that
absolutely.
works with their LPRs.
yes, so that's one thing that Block was trying to get us to obviously look into. Right now, it's not on our radar.
Right.
Because we still did not see the benefit of having that $150,000, but we have to look at if, would it be more beneficial with Flock, because we have them all throughout the area.
No, at the time I asked Chief Doyle, he was new, and I said, I would ask you to reevaluate this when the time comes to see if you really think this is essentially at this cost, and he apparently did not think so.
Yep. Okay, so if no other questions, we can move on to fire, and I think this is our last one for the evening,
Page 250.
250.
Okay.
Okay, some of the B2s are wrong, and I will have them fixed and sent to you. Overall.
What
the-
page are you on?
Oh, I'm sorry.
250.
250. With the health and wellness, it went up, to $8,000 more to 58,000. A big portion of that is a grant. I believe it's $35,000 in a grant. This is our last year for it. And then we're resubmitting for that grant again. One of the main killers for firefighters is cancer, and a lot of this is geared towards the cancer prevention and the heart, prevention, heart attack prevention market. And then with license and services, our, software has basically ended, and we are going to be looking at a new software, which is, gonna be better if we do also go to an ambulance service, as well, because now we're paramedics and we have to do a lot more extensive, medical reports because of the care that we do give. And if we ever do become an ambulance service, this is what we would need. But even if we don't become an ambulance service, this is still the software we need. That's for all of our reporting, all of our, exposure reports, all the real big essential reporting software that I have. This will also be my pre-plans and also for my fire marshal as well for the inspections. Repair and maintenance. I'm hoping that this will go lower. Last year it was up a little bit because of we had to nurse along the one fire truck. Now that we don't have it, I'm shooting for this to go lower. Also with the gear that we have now, a cleaner come in and clean the gear twice a year. It's actually saving us because they're seeing problems before it becomes a problem. Like if there's a little tear, we're actually sending out to get a $50, $60 repair instead of it being a $500 or $600 repair like it was in the past. Firefighting supplies are down. However, this B2 is wrong. I'm taking out the struts. And somehow the struts got left in and everything else got taken out. But I will send that B2 to everyone tomorrow. But the struts will be taken out. But it's the $12,700 is correct. System communication, that's my dispatch that they go up. We actually went up a bit this year to 94,000. I did not know that this was coming. I know we signed a contract, but we're looking at the contract right now to make sure that that is the right cost. And we will have better answer for you. The individual communication, this also goes along with the software for reporting for our medical. With us doing more medical, we have to get the right, like it's a tough book because what we use right now is a Surface and it's breaking. So a lot of those, you always see them, it's like the metal, they look metal, but they're not. But it's more of a tough book style, so it's rugged. The equipment has gone down because obviously last year we got new trucks, so we bought some extra equipment. And that's where we kind of are with the overall budget with the fire. Yeah. Anybody has any question, I'd be happy to answer.
Page 255. I assume summer winter fire school is essential. But what about the FDIC?
Yeah,
contract?
so that's where we get most of our CEUs.
Okay.
And then when we do go, we do a BRBO, something like that, and I can send more people that way. So we do, right now, like if you have firefighter 1 and 2, you have officer 1 and 2, you have any investigator, inspector, you have to have CEUs now to keep those credentials up.
Gotcha.
And the other thing is we are doing more of a push to get rescue techs, which with all this stuff that we do have going on, like the swift water rescue and things like that, that's what we're trying to specialize it more in with the rough rescues as well. Yes, sir.
On page 270, you have Missouri American Water Grant.
Yeah.
You
That's
say
a
you're
grant you get.
receiving a grant, but you have it listed as an expense.
Because the money will go into this account and we'd spend it on miscellaneous. Because I don't know exactly what we get every year. I know we get the $1,800, but we spend that, or $1,200, what is it?
But you spend it on what? Because you have,
Well, usually we spend it on rope stuff because we're behind on rope, so. But I don't know what I'm gonna get that year, because I don't even know if I'm gonna be guaranteed that money, but I think most likely we are. So we get the grant and we just put that grant into this account. Cause it has to be spent for fire department.
That's fine, but that doesn't mean you put it in here as an expense.
Well,
It
he's
is an
getting-
expense because I'm buying equipment.
He buys equipment with the grant money. This is where that expense is housed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question, could you briefly describe our large apparatus age and what we have currently, what's on order, if anything?
I have nothing on order right
We've received both pumpers.
Yes, sir.
What,
And then I have the old pumper right now, it's down at the garage. We are gonna be putting that on Purple Wave.
what's the age of the old pump? What year is it?
2008. The
The
only
new ones
problem
are
we do
both-
have with that is it's basically rusted through, the frame.
And the new ones are 24 and 25?
They're both 24s.
And what, what,
Because that's when they started the chassis,
what year's the ladder?
19.
Thank you.
3015. Any other questions for city manager?
Chief. Doing fire budget, right?
Yeah, it was cheap.
To the fire chief. Any other questions for the fire chief at this point?
Okay, so at this point, for next time, we would just be going over public works, for next meeting rather. EDST. Sewer lateral, FSBD, GOB, and then TOPS. We also have FSBD coming in to do a presentation. I believe also FNIP will also be doing a presentation. We'll also go over our CIP capital funds. And then, community development as well. For next, on the 20th.
Dave?
Just wanted to recap what I have in my notes. It'll only take 2 seconds. Cut the council retreat for 5,000, video streaming service for 5,500. Look at the deputy city clerk's salary, tuition reimbursements to the tune of 15,000. Remove Shamrock Ball, remove National League of Cities membership, remove North County Inc. sponsorship of $1,000, and then investigate options for pension moving forward.
That was because the Shamrock Ball was in 2 places.
Correct.
We deleted it for 1 place.
Correct.
Did we decide that the deputy clerk should be struck or stay?
We didn't make a decision either way.
I just had investigate salary.
Okay. Motion in a second,
So moved.
Second, let me propose to.
all in favor? Any opposed? Everyone have a good night. City clerk, when is our next meeting? Thursday, the 29th?
John, can I leave this here? Can I leave this?
Yeah, you can leave.
Okay,
We'll bring them upstairs and then maybe put your name on it.
okay, thank you.
Okay,
Wait, how you
You were looking at it for
How you gonna steal